Hello and welcome to the Mighty Electronic Box for the week of 21st of October 2013. I'm back. I'm going to be your host this week. I'm Bradley and I'm with Joe. Say hello.
Hello.
And John,
Yo.
who I'm sure you've got to know pretty well as they've been holding down fort for the past 3 weeks.
Something like that.
Two. We didn't record last week because we suck.
That's true. You missed one because you guys are terrible people.
We're disorganized.
Absolutely. Did anything interesting happen whilst I was away?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty nothing fucking happened.
I don't really retain that sort of knowledge.
I don't think anything noteworthy happened. So.
All right, because I had no internet for over 3 weeks.
I bet something happened.
So you were basically dead for 3 weeks, really. I mean,
I might as well have.
With no internet,
I was just in a coma.
Yeah.
In my bed for 3 weeks, not studying anything at university or anything like that.
I didn't have internet for like a day, like this past week, and it was like the worst day ever. So.
Yeah, I think.
Imagine
I think
that. 3
internet
weeks.
Internet's become too important.
Yeah.
Just a bit. Just a bit. All right then. Also, I should probably ask, did we get any emails?
I haven't checked.
I don't think so.
Oh, so you didn't read any in the past few weeks?
Oh no, definitely not.
The communist robot stories.
No, there's no Chinese robots.
That's a shame. All right then. Well, after that little detour, I guess I should ask, what have you guys been playing? Who wants to start?
Joe.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first because I've been playing the least. I played literally nothing new. I played a lot more Injustice. That's pretty much that. And I also bought a Vita. Because why not? Because I like to buy shit.
Because you're stupid.
And I mainly got it for Injustice. I probably won't use it until that really comes out. Because at the moment, I spend probably 2-3 hours a day traveling to and from work. And Injustice is a game I really want to learn, and because it's coming out on the Vita, I thought that's 3 hours a day I could spend learning secondary stuff, and then when I get home, I can just concentrate on learning my character. But I've been playing around with it for a couple of days. I only got it late yesterday, but I'm really liking it. It's one of those things where you hold. I've held off buying one for quite a while. And now that I have one, I'm really glad I have one because.
I thought you were going to say now that I have one, I really wish.
I really regret it. God damn it. No, now that I have one, I'm really glad I bought one. It's super fucking slick. There's a couple of changes to it, system wise, I don't like. They've altered how you put any kind of media on it. You have to
What do you mean compared to what?
Compared to the original PSP. The original PSP was just you plug that into a PC and it was you just put music in the music folder, you put videos in the video folder, and you were good to go.
Yeah.
Whereas the Vita has this content management fucking software on it that I still haven't actually got it to work.
Good job.
It's just it's just one of those things.
How much money did you spend on a memory stick?
Oh, I got a 16 gig one, which was
£5 million.
I think it was only 4.5, so it wasn't too bad. I didn't get ripped off too much.
No.
I'll check actually because that's really made me think. Because I know I didn't buy a 32 one because I didn't really think I'd need a 32 one. I pretty much got this solely for Injustice. It's pretty much the main reason I bought it.
So you would just looked up how big Injustice was and then bought a memory card that size?
Well, no, I just sort of bought the best priced memory card for that price. Yeah, the 16 gig one was 25. And I think the 32 ones are where you go above paying more than twice for the amount of memory you're actually getting. So I didn't bother getting a 32. But yeah, it's a really nice piece of kit. I love it. I got MK with it just because I thought that'd be a pretty good game to test it with, and I love MK. So and yeah, it is a really good game to test it with though. When I used one back in it's fucking quite a while ago now actually. It was some Vita event in Manchester that I went to. The buttons feel a lot better, the actual face buttons, square, triangle, X, and circle. They feel way better. They feel a lot more kind of sturdy. My biggest worry at that event was those buttons felt super flimsy, and using them for anything robust like a fighting game, for example, felt like they'd wear out in a day. But these feel really good. It still feels a little awkward to hold. It feels like if you had just a little bit smaller hands, it'd be really really comfortable to hold. It's mainly like your right hand, the one that uses like the 4 face buttons. That kind of like that can ache after a while if you kind of stay in the same position. But that's pretty much all I've done this past week and a bit. Play with my Vita. I'm gonna play with it some more. It's pretty cool. And the wireless shit on it actually works, which it makes a really nice change from the PSP because that shit never fucking worked. I hated that about the PSP. I think like on all the years I had my PSP, I think it actually managed to connect to wireless like twice. It was fucking terrible.
Mine was alright.
Mine was awful. It hardly ever worked. And when it did, it took like an hour to load like a fucking web page.
Yeah, the browser was shit,
Yeah,
but it did connect.
That sort of stuff is a lot better on the Vita. Like the
Yeah,
browser.
I think like just in general, in terms of like handheld devices, like the internet is something that they've worked out now. Where
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
'cause I think
just a
like
complete
you
shit
kind
show.
of you kind of need it. I mean, like the Vita
Yeah.
especially is like I mean, there's like the browser on it is pretty solid. Like you can download shit to it. Like
Yeah.
it's, you can do a lot on it, like with a decent internet connection. So I also got the 3G model because it was just the same price, and it comes with like a like pay and go plan. I didn't want to get a data plan because fuck that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super nice.
What card does it take?
It just comes with you mean like SD card or
No,
SIM card?
SIM card. What size?
Oh, it just comes with like a standard pay as you go SIM card. Like it's
So like a full size SIM, micro SIM.
oh yeah, full size, like a phone SIM card, full size one.
They come in different sizes now.
Do
they?
Do they really?
Huh.
There's 3 different sizes of SIM card now.
What?
There's one that is the normal full, because on a SIM card, the only bit that actually does anything is the gold part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that the SIM cards are actually micro SIMs, I think, because they used to be like credit card size. Like the credit card that you pop them out of. I think that was like
Yeah.
the original SIM card size. So you pop out the bit with the chip on it. And then now the chip is literally just within the middle bit. So there's one in my phone. I have a mini SIM or whatever it's called. The names are retarded. I can't remember what they are. But I have a slightly smaller one. And then like in the newest iPhones, there are nano SIMs, which are like literally just the metal bit and no border at all around them.
Huh. Well, if you're a like relatively old ass motherfucker when it comes to SIM cards, these have like just a
normal
a regular
SIM.
phone. Oh, and awesome.
Okay, so you reckon you could just, if you have a data plan on a normal ass SIM card,
Oh yeah,
you
I
could
imagine
jack
you
it
could just
in there.
pop that in there, like put a phone card in it or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, in the like realm of like amazingly pointless accessories. When you put the SIM card in, it has like a SIM card tray that like comes out of the system, and you put the SIM
Sweet.
card in the tray, and then you put the
Yeah.
tray back in the system, and it's like this is so fucking high tech. This is like this is like in a fucking like lab. This is awesome.
Get your tweezers out. and-
Yeah, like get some fucking prosthetic gloves on and like change your SIM card in the Vita. But yeah, it's a super awesome looking toy. I dig it. I'm glad I got one, and I am annoyed because I know that probably in like a month there'll be like bundles for a PS4 and a Vita, but fuck it, who needs money?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's literally all I played. I played fuck all this week. I've been really lazy. I just haven't played anything.
Cool. So literally just Vita games and
Yeah.
Injustice.
I did
is it?
order the Luminous for Vita because I want to try that. See what that's like.
That's out, isn't it?
Oh yes, I think that was pretty
Oh,
early
yeah.
on. Yeah.
So you didn't Is that not something you could download?
It probably is, but once you see how awesome Vita game cases are, you want to have as many.
Oh yeah, I have seen them. They're pretty.
They
cool.
are pretty cool, and like the cards are.
But they don't come on UMDs, though, do
fucking
they?
amazing. No, so they are not as cool as PSP games, but
hmm PSP cases were pretty dope as well.
yeah, those little cards are pretty damn cool.
Nice. Cool stuff then. Johnny, what you been doing?
I guess on Joe's recommendation, so it's Joe's fault.
Oh, okay.
This is bad. I played a bunch of Metro last night.
I thought he was gonna say you bought a Vita, then I was like, shit, really?
No. I think I might though. Like I was saying, that
Yeah, I think they've
depending
come
on-
down in price like enough now. Like when they were like pushing 300 quid, and it was like, nah, come on, like they're not.
yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch.
If there's like a PS4, PS Vita bundle, or some retailer decides to like, if you buy a PS4, you get a PS Vita for like 100 quid or something, like I'll probably jump on that. But we'll see. No, yeah, played a bunch of Metro Last Light, which is a good game. Joe's right yet again. I haven't
really want to play that.
yeah,
That
I
game
haven't
is so
finished it.
fucking good. How far are you through it?
Oh god, let's see. I've just gotten to the bit. Do you know where you're on like that train?
Yeah.
And like you've got to move up the train. Yeah, kill a bunch of dudes. Like that bit. I've just finished that bit, and I'm like outdoors again now.
Is
yeah,
it as good as Metro?
Metro 20. It's better. There's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of really intelligent improvements.
Yeah, I feel it's better. I mean, I think like mechanically, no question, it is.
Yeah, like 2033 was really interesting. But like it was a bit rough around the edges, I guess. This feels like they've had the opportunity to like look at it again and say like, what can we improve and make better? And they've certainly made a better game. It also looks really good, even on like 360.
Oh, you're playing on 360?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I didn't pick it up initially, is because a lot of people were saying, it's, obviously it looks really good on the PC, but it's not as good as on the consoles, and obviously that's true, but I think it still holds up pretty well on the 360.
Well, Metro 2033 was the destroyer of worlds, so like on consoles it probably didn't do so hot. But I mean, if they've actually optimized this one a bit better, maybe on consoles it'll probably live a lot better.
It runs at solid 30, which is like.
Well, yeah, then you're off to a good start.
As we get towards like the end of the console generation and stuff on the PC is getting like crazy, like that's becoming less of a thing.
Yeah,
but
true.
like to see a game like run at solid 30 and also look pretty damn good is that's a good thing. Yeah, I mean it's similar in a lot of ways.
So I think where you are, correct me if I'm wrong, because Brad will need to see this bit. Have you like gone past the bit that I was talking about?
That's the thing, is I'm not 100%. I was like, is this the bit?
Okay,
no,
yeah, we'll kind of have to wait
to,
because I mean, I don't know. I think you'll probably know, so I don't think you've seen it yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you like. As soon as I mentioned it, like you would say, "Oh yeah, that bit is kind of fucked up."
I mean, I've seen some. I was gonna say, it's like this story goes to places that are pretty rough. You see some pretty.
Yeah, that's kind of why I don't think you would have seen it yet, because that's the thing that kind of makes it what it is. It's like it's not a story bit at all. It's just like a passing moment in the game, and it's pretty fucked up. It's pretty dark.
What? Now I don't know whether
from whereabouts where you are, like I don't think you'd have seen it yet.
Like I think I'm pretty far through.
How long have you been playing it for?
I mean, I played it.
What's like your total game time?
If I had to guess, I'd say in like the 8-hour sort of mark.
Yeah, you might have missed it then. You might be past it. Yeah, you would have seen it by now.
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is I don't know whether I've missed it, because I've seen some stuff that obviously I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, Brad, play fucking Metro for next week.
Look, I might genuinely buy it after this podcast, but
I need to buy it, man. That game is.
I know, that's actually like something I'm gonna have to make myself play before we do Game of the Year discussions, because judging by how much I liked Metro 2033, like that could easily be my Game of the Year, and I still haven't fucking played it yet.
Yeah, it might be mine, to be honest. I love the I don't know if you agree, John, but like the atmosphere and design in that game is just it takes a shit on like any other game that tries to go for that.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, maybe it won't go that far, but
well, for me it does. Like I just there's a level of detail to the environments and like that you just do not get.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a bit
you just don't get it at all. Like the I think you might have seen it, but I mean, it's not really very descriptive. But like, there's a certain kind of area in the game that's a camp, and it's like built into like old kind of like spillways, and like just the level of detail you get in that. Like you go into people.
You're talking about
like,
Venice. It's like it's built. It's like like the actual Venice. It's built on.
I think that might be it actually. But like the way they like construct like somebody's kind of bedroom, and it's not it's so hard to describe because there's so much detail to justice, totally. But it's just it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me in a lot of ways of like The Last of Us in terms of like it, like those two games do stuff that a lot of other games don't do, where the environments don't feel like built. I guess it's like they feel quite natural, which is weird considering like a lot of what Metro 2033 is like people taking something that's inherently man-made and then making it like taking the metro system, then building that into a home.
Yeah.
Which obviously is like artificial, but yeah, like it feels like, you know, this is something like lived in, I guess. Yeah, that all that stuff's great. The stories, I sort of felt like I was losing the plot a bit on the story. Like
I felt like that in a couple of spots.
Yeah, like where it was like, I don't know, that it sort of moves, but it's like it's hard to sort of keep up with it, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's sort of dialogue that you can actually just miss just by like moving through the environment too quickly, which is a bit bummer,
bit that I'm talking about is exactly one of those bits.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Is it someone talking, or is it an actual like an event? Like
it's an event. It's an event, but it's one that is you could not get it. Like you could go past it. Because it's like if it, I can't I can't really say anymore.
Right. I'll try and there's the one example I can think of that is
I feel like now like it's being talked up too much, like because it's it's gonna have to be like this amazing thing. And it's...
I'm gonna try like not to spoil it, but is it like just before that you've met with like a train of like refugees?
That could very well be it. Yeah.
And like they're about to shoot you, but then they're like, oh no, can you do this for us?
Yes, that is in fact the bit.
Okay, and then like you walk ahead a bit and then go to the right.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah, I know what you're on.
That is definitely it. That is definitely the bit I am talking about.
Yeah, that bit's sort of effed up. Like I mean, it's effed up, but like I didn't let it play out.
Oh no. I mean, I was really curious because I actually wanted to see what would happen if you did.
Yeah, like I thought. I don't know.
I didn't let it play out. I mean, like it's you can just go right past that and nothing happens. Like you wouldn't even have you could not turn back or anything like that. So it's pretty ballsy. Like it is really good. And Brad, play Metro, play Metro Last Light. That game is damn good.
Yeah, like that bit is like the really like made the stealth like way better than it was in 2033. Like 2033 was really sort of hit and miss. Like, am I going to be detected? Like, you've got that thing on your watch now that tells you whether you're in like the light, which is really useful. And like, I don't know, like they've just, I guess they've been a bit more forgiving with like enemy patrols and stuff, where it's not just like completely ridiculous. Like, he had like 5 guys in a room all looking at the door that you're about to walk in. Like, it's
the enemies are kind of dumb though.
Yeah, they're not the best.
Yeah, but... like there's quite a bit of like you can have like 2 guys standing right next to each other, and like if you have a silenced pistol, you can shoot one of them in the head. His corpse will fall in front of the guy standing next to him, and he doesn't do anything.
So
He's like, okay.
I haven't had anything like that. I'm
playing on bits like that.
Yeah, I'm playing on Ranger Hardcore, which is it actually sort of messed up in like not a good way.
I think I'm just going through on like normal, so that could be a thing.
Yeah, Ranger Hardcore is like it's actually like part of like the pack-in like DLC stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's basically takes all the UI elements away, and makes obviously the game pretty hard in terms of you get shot like twice and you're dead.
Yeah.
But like it takes everything off the UI, including like button prompts for quick time events, which is like doesn't work if you haven't played the game before.
Yeah.
Because like those they can sort of just come out of nowhere. So basically, my policy for like anything that's like cutscene is just mash the X button just in case.
Yeah.
That seems to have gotten me through all that stuff. Like I really don't think they put much effort in. It was just like, oh, let's just take everything off the UI and not actually think.
Yeah,
well,
not think about this.
It's sort of messed up if you can't see what the prompt is for this QuickTime event.
Yeah.
You don't even know that there is a QuickTime event. It's just the only way you know is you just die in the middle of a cutscene. Like, oh, okay, I must just have to mash X while this thing's happening. It's sort of messed up. But I mean, other than that, like playing without any UI and like it does like ramp up the sort of the tension, especially because that game's there's a lot of focus on like I guess like ammo scarcity and stuff. So like not really knowing how much ammo you have and just sort of having to like eyeball like the magazines and stuff.
Yeah, I do like that. I like that kind of how that's built into like the design, like the visual designs for
yeah.
all the weapons. Like they have like the rotating shotgun, like its chambers will
Yeah,
be
you
like
can
become
actually
empty.
visually see
Yeah.
like exactly how much ammo you have, which is good. And they've got like the stuff with the watch to know when your air filter thing needs changing when you're outside or in a place where you need a gas mask.
I love that like your gas mask can like break and you can like I. What's the button for like you can wipe your gas mask?
LB. I didn't
Yeah,
even,
if it gets
I had to
dirty.
actually look that up because I kept on getting tool tips for like you can wipe your mask. And I was like, that would be really useful if I knew how to do that. And I eventually just gave up and looked it up. Yeah, that's a really
That
cool
is a
mechanic.
really cool thing because like sometimes when you get like really close combat, like blood will splatter on it, and you can like it will like makes it harder to see.
Yeah. So I guess the only parts of that game I'm not really enjoying are the bits with God, what are the mutant things that like run around on four legs? They're like the dog things.
Oh yeah, just kind of like the I don't know what they're called, but I know what you mean. Like just like the kind of filler mutant enemy.
Yeah, I don't know, like the bits when it's like you go to open a door and then something happens and it's like, all right, now it's like here's a combat arena where you got to fight like five of these. Like on that ridiculous difficulty mode with like very little ammo. I don't know, just isn't fun. It feels like sometimes it's like they haven't really thought of like this person could come in this room with theoretically like 2 bullets or something, and we're gonna throw like 5 enemies at them.
I guess that's just tough shit.
Yeah, yeah. So like it's sort of effed up that it's
for
like,
those people, yeah. But
yeah.
I think I think the combat is a lot better in Last Light purely because like it feels a lot better to play.
Yeah.
But I think it could be one of those games where like maybe if they just took out the combat and like made it all like atmosphere and interactions and just.
I mean, this like I've seen people saying they've played that game almost like non-lethally just because like you can still through a lot of that game and there is like a non-lethal takedown.
I do the lethal takedowns, but
but I that's because I didn't know there was a non-lethal. But even if there was, I probably would just kill them because a lot of those guys seem like bad people and they deserve to die.
Seem like unsavory characters.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I remember I almost ended up double downing and pre-ordering this just because if you had pre-ordered the game, it would come with the Ranger mode DLC, and you kind of get fucked over because if you don't pre-order it, because you like now that if I were to buy it now, I just wouldn't have that mode.
Yeah.
Is that worth $3.99 or is that something I can live without? Yeah.
Nope.
It's
It's badly done. It like really feels like they were just like, yeah, let's just take out the UI. Not really think of any of the ramifications of doing that. It's not great.
Okay.
It's like it has like positives, but it's not. I don't think it's worth like paying for it.
I'm sure I could probably.
I think that comes on the PC version by default. Though I think I have that and I didn't. Pay like the what's it called?
Did you buy? How recently did you buy Metro?
I got it in a Steam sale. Like.
Oh, weird. Well, it definitely.
I think I got it in like the summer Steam sale. So then again, I suppose it could have been like a bonus for that. Actually, now that I think about it, it might have been.
Yeah, I got the limited edition, and that.
That would come with it.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't any more expensive as far.
No.
Huh. I don't know.
Okay.
Ranger mode is interesting. I just wish that they'd put a bit more effort into it. It just seems a bit half-hearted, really. God, what else is there to say about the game? I like how many Russian people say the word bitch and the way in which they say it. That's like the number one swear word in Russia.
Did they make it easier to turn on Russian VO this time or not?
No, I've got subtitles on, but I couldn't find any option to have like Russian. You can have like subtitles in Russian.
You can have Russian subtitles.
Really weird,
That's the wrong way around.
Yeah.
In the first game, you had to like somehow force the game to play in Russian, and then you could put subtitles on, but they were in English because they hadn't written Russian subtitles, so you could play it like that or something.
I would really like just have that game in Russian just to get fully immersed into that world, because it is sort of weird when you hear Russians using quite American phrases, or I don't know. Some of the writing's a bit off, like the stuff between missions like every once in a while, like the main character will say something weird
Yeah.
that like doesn't really work. But I mean,
Do you find it really weird that like he has a voice in the like loading screens, but
doesn't talk ever during the game?
he never ever
Yes,
speaks.
completely.
I think
I hate that. I
yeah.
hate silent protagonists so much.
I mean, I think it's just so much weirder because he does talk. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, he has his monologues in between missions, and then like, you know, certain things can be happening to him in the game.
It actually seems to like impede parts of the story. It's like if you just talked and said something here, then this would go way smoother than if you just like.
And like no one ever calls him on it either. No one's like, "Yo, why?"
Actually, so, like there are like occasional nods and winks. Like I think that the Anna person says like.
Yeah, true.
She says that she nearly shot him because he doesn't answer his radio hails or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I thought was sort of funny, but yeah, it is really annoying. Like, just have him talk. Like they've already got a voice actor, obviously, and it's not like some player created character where they'd have to make a million voices. Just like have him talk. That would be cool. Better. Yeah, that game's pretty awesome. Like if you like Metro 2033, I think they haven't like done anything like terrible. They haven't like changed it massively. I think
it's a no-brainer. I think if you like 2033,
yeah, and especially if you like that sort of atmosphere and that weird like sci-fi sort of stuff that had going on in that one. It's got some of that, and they've really developed like the whole like the factions, I guess. Like that stuff didn't really make much sense to me in the first game, but like having like basically the Nazis, the communists, and then like all the people like in the middle, that gives the game a really interesting sort of dynamic. So yeah, I think I must be getting towards the end because it feels like that game's been going a while now. Yeah, that game's pretty cool. Actually, not speaking of cool games. Speaking of games I didn't really get into at all. Far Cry 3. I think I'm done. I'm just not enjoying that game at all. I don't know what is
really like. Not even the like just exploring aspect.
I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, like, it's all right to have like a podcast on and just do like outposts or whatever, but it's not like I could be spending my time playing.
I guess I kind of
like all the story stuff is just I don't know, just isn't interesting at all.
You just want to murder every single person in that game.
Yeah, like Vass is an interesting character,
he's
acted,
he's the only good character in that entire game.
Yeah,
and, like I think not only is every other character bad, but like they're really bad. Like I mean like the main character is a fucking douchebag, and the like. I started having fun in that game when I just pretended the story didn't exist. Like that's when I had fun in that game.
I guess like that would be like the sort of counter argument against having your main character have a voice because they could be that bad. Better to be silent and he could be cool rather than have him talk and like remove all doubt that he's a fucking douchebag. And actually I got really annoyed because I can't remember where I heard it, but there was like someone talking about what the writer of that game like had to say after people complained that all the characters were terrible and the story was bad. And he was like, "Oh, you don't understand the game. It's like meant to be like a parable about it's like Alice in Wonderland or some bullshit." And like that made me hate the game more. So
yeah, it's worse when they try and excuse like bad writing. It's like, "Oh, you just don't get it, man." It's like,
but that's pretty much like exactly what he said. You don't get it. That's your fault, not everyone else.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's like that's your fault as the writer if I don't get it.
Yeah, that game has some issues, and it doesn't really run that great on PS3, which obviously is excusable, But
yeah, I mean, I remember it runs very very nice on PC, but I mean,
I remember when the Giant Bomb guys was playing that and they played it on PC and on consoles, and they were like, "Yeah, the console version sucks," and everyone's like, "Meh, why'd you shit on console versions all the time?" But when you do go from
that's
PC
a legit,
to the console version,
especially
in that particular game,
although I think the like line for that is pretty big in my opinion. I remember when like DMC is actually a pretty good recent example of that. That game on console is fucking garbage. Like the 30 frames per second it is really, really fucking noticeable, and like really limits the speed at which you can use that game. Whereas on PC, that does like that game. I rented that on 360 and was like, this game's okay, I guess. And I bought it on PC and I was like, wow, like like 30 frames a second. It is a handicap. Like it's not just one of those things where it's like,
especially for games like that.
Especially for games like DMC. I mean, it's even more noticeable because you want things to happen as fast as possible, and it's. But I think like the barrier for that sort of stuff is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like it's not just a consoles are shit, argument. It's like, no, if this game runs significantly better and significantly smoother on PC, it doesn't make you elitist to want to play that version.
Yeah.
Like you want to play the best version of the game. Like it's simple.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's like when they're saying like this, it doesn't run as good on the consoles. That's not them shitting on the consoles. That's like a legitimate warning. Like
it's just stating a simple fact, really.
Yeah.
It's like,
and like I mean that's totally for Far Cry. I totally agree. It's like that does not run in a way that I want a game to play ideally. Like, I mean I've played on a console for the last however long, so I'm used to that sort of stuff. But even Far Cry 3 isn't like. I think it's below even my sort of standard, I guess. Luckily Metro doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, and like
Metro looks and plays pretty well.
Yeah, plenty of console games look and play fine. It's just
yeah. Let's see. I played actually a surprising amount. Well, surprised myself with how much Dragon's Dogma I played.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. First maybe 2 hours, I was like, this game's awful. Why am I playing this? And then something clicked, and now I really quite like that game. So I'm playing Dark Arisen, which is like the expansion pack, I guess, version, which is on PlayStation Plus at the minute. But yeah, that game's I don't know. It's interesting. It has some cool stuff going on. It's sort of got a sort of Dark Souls. Not the combat isn't as good as Dark Souls, but it has some amount of depth, and there's that sort of same like nothing's really explained. You just sort of got to feel it out, and it can be pretty difficult in the early going to get used to how that game plays. I was getting wrecked. I think that was like the main reason I was like, I don't really like this game. Is I was getting destroyed for like the first few hours, and I just didn't know what I was doing. But I think once you get a hold of that game, it's really, really interesting. It sort of doesn't look that great, and the story's sort of crap, and the world's not that interesting. But
okay, so why is this game good?
I don't know. I just like it.
That was such a great turnaround.
You're like all kind of positive on it, and then just went up.
Everything about it is garbage.
Like, okay, the graphics in a macro sense are good. Like it has good like views and vistas and stuff, and like the world design is and the enemy design is pretty interesting. Anytime you sort of get close up to stuff, doesn't look that great. But that's sort of excusable because it's a fairly big game. I mean, it doesn't look any worse than like a Skyrim or something, I guess.
Skyrim doesn't look, well, on console at least, doesn't look too good. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it's not you're not like throwing up looking at the screen or anything. It's not horrific. It's just not, it's not amazing. Yeah, the world is sort of not. Doesn't have that much going on, I guess. It's sort of just like here's like these rolling hills and then occasionally a castle, but it's not like Skyrim like has really interesting stuff going on in the world. Dragon's Dogma doesn't. What else? Oh yeah, the story's sort of weird, and I guess the thing that people bang on about in that game is the end, which obviously I haven't got to yet because that game's pretty long. I've probably played about 15 hours or so of it. But yeah, I mean the real draws is the combat, and I think that it's pretty good. I mean, I did say it's not as good as Dark Souls, but it's maybe got more depth. It's just not as. I don't like the fact there's no lock on. Basically, like not being able to lock onto enemies in a game that hard, which relies on your ability to sort of accurately block enemies' attacks.
Is there any sort of like enemy prioritization or like?
No, it's just basically whatever direction you push in when you press the block button, it'll block in that direction or attack in that direction.
Like, oh right, so there's no kind of like when you're connecting with an enemy, like it will prioritize that enemy. It will just sort of swinging.
It's just yeah. It's pretty animation heavy, which is obviously similar to Dark Souls. All the Souls games in general. It's got stuff going on. It's quite loot driven, as far as I can tell, which is actually weird because when people talk about the game, it's like, oh, I don't know, it hasn't got as much loot as like a whatever game. But I don't know, there's a decent amount of loot, and you can make your character look pretty good actually, which is always cool. I don't know, like that game's it's interesting if you want to play a decent sort of RPG, and you can excuse maybe not a great world, which is a bit of a bummer, I guess, coming off like something like Skyrim. But it's interesting, has stuff going on, has that sort of brutal difficulty thing, which is always a draw for crazy people. The boss fight stuff's interesting as well. It's got that sort of like Shadow of Colossus, like crawling all over enemies and stabbing them in the head sort of thing. Which is cool, especially like on like, oh, I'm gonna grab on this griffin, oh no, this griffin's suddenly flying through the air and I'm flying through the air with it. This is, if I let go, I will die.
That's the only thing I remember seeing in the demo that I played of that game, is the AI dudes climbing on some griffin and then flying away with the AI dude still attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, you like Monster Hunter, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people compare it to Monster Hunter. Obviously, I haven't played a Monster Hunter game.
I did originally look into it as because I saw it coming and was like, it seemed like an interesting mix of Dark Souls and Monster Hunter, but it didn't seem to do either particularly well, and it kind of the demo didn't catch me, and I just kind of passed on it.
I mean, like when I played the demo, I really didn't like it. I remember saying as much on this podcast, but.
That was before you had played like Dark Souls?
Yeah, but I'd already played Demon Souls at that point, so I knew what they were about.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was into Demon Souls. It was just a difficulty thing. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I hate this game. It was like, I literally just can't get past this. I think that's why I stopped playing that game. But I mean, it's free obviously on PlayStation Plus, so I wasn't just gonna go, there's no point in playing it. Like, I gave it a go, and it's interesting. It's not a fantastic game, but it's got stuff going on, which is cool. It's got the whole crux of that game is like the pawn system.
Yeah. There's loads of porn in that game.
Yeah, it's just hell of porn. Everywhere he goes, boobs. No, it's like so the pawns basically like your AI companions, and you have one which you create who like stays with you throughout the game. And then like two others which you just sort of swap in and out at these rift stones or whatever, and like you can get other people's like other real people's pawns that they've created and bring them into your world and like level them up and stuff. So that's where the sort of online stuff comes in.
There's no real multiplayer, is there?
No, yeah, that's sort of disappointing because if that game could totally work, that would be awesome with co-op. Because like one of my main complaints about that game is the AI can be sort of dumb. They seem to have gotten better as they've got higher levels, just not like I was spending a lot of my time just running around like reviving them, which sort of sucked. But now they seem to be a bit more competent. I don't know whether it's just because they've got more health, so they're not dying as much.
Does it matter if they die?
Makes the battles a bit harder, I guess.
Like, do they come back though?
If you like leave them for ages while they're down, like they'll just like disappear, and you have to like get some more at the next Riftstone or whatever. But like your main pawn can never die; they'll just get revived next time you go to Riftstone. But it can be like quite a while, before you get to a next Riftstone. So it behooves you to keep them alive for as long as possible. Some enemies though can like kill them, and then instantly like there's this ghost which will just like if it kills a dude, it'll just like take them away. So that you want to kill those guys before they kill your dudes, because that would suck. Yeah, that game's interesting. If very flawed. The only other thing I played was the first episode of The Wolf Among Us, which is the new thing from Telltale, the people who brought us The Walking Dead. That is really, really good. I went in there with pretty much zero expectations because I thought, like, I don't know what, like, The Wolf Among Us is based on the Fables comic series, which I haven't read. Like, I don't read comics. So I didn't really have any idea, like, the backstory of that stuff. And it obviously wasn't attached to any of the characters like I was in The Walking Dead. It is a really, really interesting sort of crime noir thing with, like, fantasy, like, fairy tale characters. Which sounds sort of dumb, but actually really, like, works really well. Yeah, that I don't know. It's like if you like The Walking Dead, I hesitate to say it, but I think you'll probably like The Wolf Among Us. So maybe you guys should play that.
Maybe.
I'm almost like strangely scared to play anything similar to The Walking Dead again.
Yeah,
because it's
I have a similar.
It doesn't have the same sort of like emotional stuff going on, but it actually has a really good twist at the end of that episode. Yeah, I don't know. It seems pretty well done. Like the voice acting, the writing is all superb. On par at least with The Walking Dead. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those games again. Like there's not really that much changed about the formula of it. You can see where they've like subtly changed like UI stuff or something like that, but it's very similar to that game. It's just obviously in a completely different universe with a crazy set of characters. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
I would highly recommend playing that if you're into The Walking Dead. Yeah, that was it for this week. Played a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that was a fair amount of games there.
It was.
More than Joe, anyway.
Well, that's not exactly hard, to be fair.
Yeah, you need to step it the fuck up, otherwise
There's
we're gonna have
nothing I want to play. There's nothing.
Fire Joe.
Your
playing
place
enough
on
games.
this podcast is
There's nothing out.
slowly
Like,
becoming less relevant.
this
Beyond?
Is this is true.
Do you want to play Beyond?
I do want to try that. Yeah. I
Play
really do.
Beyond for us, because no one else will.
I actually probably
Yeah.
would
No,
play it,
I'm
but-
definitely going to play that.
You're crazy.
Is that out yet? Actually,
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's out. Oh, I thought that was out next week. Yeah, I will definitely play that. I will definitely play quite a lot of Batman. I'm pretty sure I'll play a shitload of that. But yeah, other than that, there's just not a lot I really want to play. Like what's coming out? Well, I mean, I know GTA 5 came out, and I just really could not give a shit. What else came out recently? Ever since kind of June, it just feels like nothing has come out for me personally. Like nothing has come out that I want to play.
Yeah.
It's been a really.
You should play The Wolf Among Us. Like, if I don't know, if you're in the
give that a go,
you
yeah.
really should. And it's only like $3.40 or something on Xbox.
That's not bad.
So
Yeah. Between that and like getting more and more into Injustice, it's kind of it's I always look at it like I could play something or I could like learn something on this, and I usually just go with learning new shit, and then I don't play any other games. So
Alrighty then. I guess that just leaves myself, and I've been out for a while now, so I have a list of stuff that I need to talk about. Hopefully I haven't forgotten all of it. And when I say a list, I mean a mental list. I didn't actually bother writing anything down, which probably would have been a smart idea.
Yep.
Just before I jump in, have you guys? I mean, are either of you two still premium members on the site?
Yeah.
I haven't been for fucking ages.
Oh, Joe, the Pathfinder Giant Bomb Unplugged.
Yeah, that's
I don't
just
really
video
have. I mean,
series is
I don't.
fucking amazing.
It probably is. Like one of the main reasons I let my premium run out is I just simply don't have the time to like watch
Yeah,
the amount. Like like the kind of the length. Like though, like premium content tends to be quite.
that is a very legitimate reason because some of that stuff.
And
I'm struggling to keep up with.
I just don't have the time. It's
like because at the moment Vinny's started Load Our Last Souls. I still had old episodes of not Breaking Brad, sorry. Bradley May Cry to watch. Like I only just finished
I'd like
that.
to watch that, but
oh no, you don't.
I
I watched Brad play Volgar the Viking and nearly
Fuck
gouged
me.
my fucking eyes out.
Did you
that's kind of the whole
watch
point.
all of that stream, Brad?
So yeah, the bit halfway through where Brad made the comment about Max was fucking amazing.
I was losing it so
That
bad.
might be one of the best things in any Giant video ever. That is up there in the top 10. I'd say Giant Bomb moments.
Yeah.
It was so fucking unnecessary.
Has he finished like DMC1 yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done.
They're on like hiatus.
How long did it take him to do Nightmare, the final Nightmare fight?
It wasn't that bad, was it?
No, he did it in like half an episode. It must have been like.
Oh wow, okay. In my book, that's bad. Like so, that's quite like how.
I can't even remember it now because it's like.
It's probably like.
The final Nightmare fight is where like he, it has like the usual Capcom bullshit of he just gets half his health back for no reason when you're like near the end.
You mean the bit where you're like flying and then?
It's been too long. I can't remember it.
But I'm just when he gets to like DMC3, I'll probably like get a premium just to see that.
Yeah, I think like they already know that DMC2 is sort of not.
Yeah,
great.
I don't think that's really worth doing it. Like that game's
DMC2 to see why it's garbage.
That game's not fun to watch. Like it's just not a fun game to watch, and it's a terrible game to play. It's just shit.
I think they were going to dip the toes in it and then.
Yeah, and just because DMC3 is man material. That game is fucking ridiculous.
All right.
They need to do a Geometry Wars one again. I really like him to have another go at that. That's probably been my favorite Breaking Brad is the Geometry Wars Survivor Million.
We're actually like discussions on Unprofessional Fridays this week of that achievement in particular.
Oh yeah, what did they say about it?
Well, it was just they were talking about like the hardest achievement they've done, and then Brad just said like I still haven't done that. That is
one of like the few achievements I have, which I care that I have it. It's like because not many people have that. That's one of those achievements.
Yeah.
I want to go back and watch him beat. Fuck it. What's the epilogue?
High Club.
High Club. Yeah, that's. God damn that video. It's the music. I just don't know how many knew to start playing that song on that run. It was just perfect. Oh damn. Anyway, as we're talking about Giant Bomb content, inspired by Load Our Last Souls, which is a pretty good series where Vinny has been had Rory, who obviously streams a lot of Dark Souls, and also which intern is it? Ian? It is Ian. Okay, yeah, Ian, not intern, sorry, the designer, isn't he? Doesn't he work on the website? Yeah, he's one of the web designers, probably was working on GameSpot, sitting in, giving him advice on how to beat Dark Souls. Like, he's been powering through that pretty fast.
Well, I mean, he's killed like what?
Two
killed
of
Nito,
three,
Four Kings, and...
Did he kill Four Kings?
Yeah. That was like at the end of the last episode.
Oh, I haven't finished that one yet.
Oh shit, that's awesome because he's just like, I'm just going to do this, and then just proceeds to just walk in and do it. It's like
his character is fucking strong. Like, Jesus Christ, he just walks up to.
That is like the complete opposite of my build in Dark Souls. Like,
my build is nothing like
rolling around to avoid. Like that fight was the one time where it was like, okay, ridiculous suit of armor, two-hander weapon, just walk in. Like everything else was roll around, be a ninja.
For me, I mean, I watched the Nito video, and then this is where I'm going with this. I went and thought, man, I want to go play Dark Souls now, because I was actually outside Duke's Archives, and I kind of got bored of the game at that point and quit after getting the Lord Vessel, and I hadn't done any of the four.
Why did you never finish it?
No, I'm still like on my way through the last 4 bosses, and So I watched him do the Nito stuff, and I was like, well, now I kind of understand that area. I'll go that way instead. Traced steps through there, and then got to Nito and just got wrecked. And I was like, man, if only I could just stand in front of the fucking thing and beat the shit out. That would make it a lot easier. Turns out I can. I just had to roll like twice or something. So I went back and did it a couple of days ago and beat Nito's third go. Like so my character's really high endurance and like strength non-existent, and both the weapons I use have no stat scaling, which is kind of shit. So I mean, nothing scales with endurance anyway, does it?
No, it's just dexterity and strength, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's no point in me having stat scaling considering endurance is my highest stat. So I guess I should be like trying to roll around, dodge, and I do keep under half equip load. I wear like full stone armor and nearly full stone armor. I'm just like slightly under having enough encumbrance to be able to wear all of that and still have the fastest roll. But the weapons I use, I think my favorite weapons, I have a halberd +4 fire, and turns out like dual handing that against Nito, I just kind of ran up to him, and what I found out is he kills all of the skeletons for you. Like you don't even need to worry about them. He just murders his own skeletons constantly. So I just basically ignored them constantly. And what I found out as well is most of his swings, if you're standing right next to him, go over your head.
Yep.
So I just stood there, beat the shit out of him, went away, drank an Estus Flask, and then ran right up to him again and kept doing it once he killed his buttons for me. And it wasn't actually that bad a fight. I had heard Nito was pretty hard beforehand.
Yeah, it can be difficult. I mean, if you run like towards him at the start of the fight and get like, if you start getting overwhelmed by like the little skeletons that he has, like that can.
Because if you run towards him at the beginning, you pull the big guys. So as long as you make sure not to pull the big guys until like later on, you'll have an easier time, I think. And then that made being that a tad easier. But other than that, I haven't played much Dark Souls. I need to go back and do Dukes now. But I found Dukes really hard when I was there last time. I don't like the magic beats. Because every time I ran up to them, like when Vinny ran up to them, they just tried to teleport away. When I ran up to them, they stabbed me with their fucking spear and it one-shots me. I don't know why it one-shots me, but like no matter what health I'm on, their trident thing that they stab me with so much damage. Dicks. So yeah, I need to be more careful. And go back.
Like Duke's Archives and like the Crystal Cave thing is like my least favorite part of that game.
I'll probably blow some humanity and summon dudes like Vinny did for what's his name? Scaleless Seath.
Yeah, Seath. I actually didn't summon anyone for Seath. He is a bit of a dick to fight though. Especially
I don't even think I have the Ring of Anti-Curse bullshit.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Oh man, those clams look sucky as well.
Oh, the clams, fucking, I hate those bastards. They just take so many hits and do so much damage. It's just that's the thing with Vinny's build. He can just two-shot like any enemy. No matter what it is. Like much. The giant bone dogs in Tomb of Giants. Like it took me like I don't know 6 hits to kill those, and Vinny was just two banging them. And like when I was watching it, he was constantly like terribly afraid of attacking them, and I'm like, this dude just run in there, and swing twice, and they'll stagger when you hit them the first time because you do so much damage, and you just hit them again and they die. So when you have a meek weapon, like trying to get enough hits in a row to make them stagger so you don't take a hit is really hard. Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Dark Souls, and I would like to at least say I've beaten it. So I'll probably keep plugging away at that if I have enough spare time.
Yeah, watching that again is made me really excited for Dark Souls 2. Because like I'm gonna get in on the ground floor on that one, like play it when everyone else has just started playing it. So have that sort of like that Fez thing where it's like no one really knows what the hell's going on. It's just everyone's sort of clueless, like that sort of. Yeah, that's awesome having that sort of feeling.
I mean, I bought the original Dark Souls in the week it came out, and then played it. I think I played like 24 hours in the first week it came out or something.
Yeah.
And didn't really get anywhere meaningful because I was playing it on Xbox at the time and like had no idea what I was doing the whole time. Like there was just nowhere to look for information. And then I can't remember if it was Skyrim or Battlefield 3 came out, and then I just didn't ever touch it again for ages until I ended up deciding to buy it on PC and start again from scratch. At which
Yeah.
point, there's just so much information out there. I've got to where I was in at least half the time. Like
Yeah.
12 hours, I was back to where I was and more. And now I'm about 30 hours in, and I'm way further than I was. Like I'm nearing the end of the game, I suppose. Because after you beat those 4 bosses, isn't it just the final?
Yeah. It's like
Boss
straight
you done?
shot to it, yeah.
Yeah.
That run up towards the last boss fucking sucks. I had to do that thing about 6 times. It's
I
not
wa-
even like it's like long and it's only like 4 enemies, but it's just
Yeah.
annoying.
They're like Black Knights, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've seen it because I watched when there was the Giant Bomb Community Endurance run a while ago. Which, by the way, I'm going to plug this now. Next weekend, that is the 26th and 27th of October, there will be another Giant Bomb Community Endurance run.
Oh.
For Child's Play again. And last time we raised over $1,200, which was awesome.
Is
I
that
think-
where you just like people were they just like streaming whatever they wanted? I can't remember that. Was that
So-
event?
Yeah. So it was like basically everyone tried to complete whatever game they chose to stream. Some dudes are like putting up polls for multiple games for people to vote on.
I had an idea for that because
Yeah?
I know the last time that happened, I was thinking, someone did Resident Evil, didn't they? They did.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I wanted to do like the kind of like the main canon, like Resident Evil 0 up until 5, but not 6 because that game's shit.
How long do you reckon that would take?
I was trying to think about that because like Resident Evil 0, I haven't played a lot, but Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like I'm like I could probably play them from memory. So like I could like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, I'd say maybe 2 hours each, pretty easily. Like Resident Evil. To be honest, though, I could spend like 12 hours playing Resident Evil 4 because I love that game. Yeah, like it's mainly like Resident Evil 0 would be the one that I can't really remember all the puzzles for and shit.
Yeah.
But 1, 2, I'd probably play the remake though of 1. I'd play the GameCube remake
Yeah.
because that game is sexy.
The structure for the event is I think all the streamers will have a say roughly 6-hour slot on the main stage where they're like the featured stream at the top of the page, or at least this is how we did it last time. And so we'll stagger it out so there's basically constant content. There's always someone who has that main slot. But in the downtime when you're not on the main stage, you're like free to stream whatever the hell you want. So like if you were planning to stream like 12 hours, or if you wanted to split it over both days, there might be able to fit you in if you want to.
I might do that because I wanted to do it last time, but I didn't actually have the ability to stream the time that happened before. But now I can actually stream.
Now you can stream. So yeah, I'll do. I will.
Resident Evil Thon, like 0 through 5. Oh man, I have to play 5 fucking solo though. Oh god.
I will mention that you're interested in the thread and see if you can't get added up, because I think we are looking for more people.
That's next
to
week.
fill out time slots. Yeah, next weekend, the 26th and 27th. So we're trying to beat our previous target in just 48 hours this time. Last time we ran for 60 hours. So hopefully, we can beat it. We have some special guests coming in. I don't think I'm allowed to say who as of yet. But if you watched the last one, you might have an idea of people we might have coming by, which should be cool. And,
Jesus.
What's that?
Jesus.
Jesus? Yeah, we had Jesus on.
Cool. Did he play any games?
Sweet.
Nah, he doesn't like games.
God.
God loves games though.
Well, he messed up somewhere then.
Yeah, didn't educate his kid right.
Yeah, God.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like, fuck around with some stream testing.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an excuse to go back and play some old Resident Evil. Get some Jill sandwich up in here. That's the only bad thing about the remake. I don't think the Jill sandwich line is in there. I can't remember.
Terrible shame.
God, is that in there? I've played that game just so much. Like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Like I probably completed those games like once a week when I was a kid. Just played them fucking non-stop.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking love those games.
That's quite obsessive.
Yeah, I remember I played through. I think it was like 1, 2, and 3 this year, not that long ago. And I was amazed at like how much shit I remembered. Like I think there was like only a couple of codes that I had to like actually look in files to figure out because I was like, I actually remember what this is. Like,
yeah,
I played them so much. I love those Resident Evil games are great.
I've never played a Resident Evil game.
You should well, you should play them, but
Hmm.
take into account they're old as hell.
Yeah. Maybe I should start with 6.
No, I mean, I don't think 6 is that bad. It's just even compared to
play Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that bad, but I mean, like, I think that 5 is like where it started to kind of really lose its way for me. But I still think 5 is really, really good, and even compared to like 5, 6 is just, it's just there's like one individual quarter of 4 different games in that game. Like that's why it feels so weird to me. It's like I can't really get mad at this for being shit because there's not enough here to really get mad about. It's like it's the absence of content that is shitty about that game. That and the fact that like there's virtually no Resident Evil in it anywhere. So, and it doesn't have Wesker either. Wesker's hard to replace. That guy's dope.
Alrighty. Going back to talking about Dark Souls, I went to Eurogamer Expo a few weeks ago. Probably over 3 weeks ago now. Oh, that sounds about right. And at Eurogamer Expo, they had a lot of things. One of the things they had was Dark Souls 2. Shock horror. So recently there was a Dark Souls 2 beta test thing, right?
Yeah.
Did any of you play that?
No. It seemed I couldn't really find a reliable source of how to actually get into it, and it was like for like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like a really short, weird thing.
Like from what I heard, it was way more of a like, let's see if the servers work than let's give people a taste of what the gameplay is.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's probably the same demo they had at Eurogamer. The Eurogamer demo was the one from the Tokyo Game Show where you fight the Mirror Shield Knight. Have you seen it?
I've got an idea of what that boss is.
Yeah, so I don't know. You don't care about like if I tell you about what the boss was about and stuff, do you?
Oh, no.
Consider that a spoiler. Okay, so I mean, I stood in the queue. The queue was pretty long. Like, I mean, it's funny talking to a friend like 2 years ago or whenever Dark Souls came out. The queue for Dark Souls was like empty. Like no one gave a shit about that game. And you go there now, and I had to queue 2 hours to play Dark Souls 2. It's crazy. And then I watched the thing. I think it was a 20-minute demo. And I obviously stood in the queue for 2 hours, so I got to see like 5 people. No, that doesn't add up. I got to see a lot of people go through the demo. 6 people. 6 groups of people go through the demo. And I got a kind of really good idea of how it worked, like watching it. So like it was it made use of you've probably seen the video where there's the enemy that takes advantage of the fact that everyone tries to backstab everything and then rolls on you.
The turtle thing.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. The number of people I saw try to backstab that thing was offensively large, and I was like, dude, have none of you ever seen this thing before? Like, what were you thinking? I mean, it doesn't bother me because I've actually never backstabbed an enemy in Dark Souls.
You're missing out.
Yeah, but why would I backstab them when, like, it annoys me when Vinny goes to backstab someone because he could have just hit them in the face and they would have died anyway. Like, what? Yeah. Why were you shuffling around him if you were? It's one and the same. Like the time you spend trying to line up the stupid backstab and then potentially missing, and then getting killed by someone else. Like you could have just stabbed him in the face by that point.
Yeah,
I just hold up my shield, block them once, and then hit them whilst they're staggered, and then kill them.
My justification for backstabbing is you get that like invincibility for like. However long that animation takes, which like gives you a chance to sort of like think, okay, right, I'm gonna kill this guy next. Like,
well, that's gone in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, which sucks. So no more backstabs for me.
Exactly. Basically. So I'm glad I am already preconditioned not to bother backstabbing. The other thing that demo had was the completely in the dark section where you're meant to pick up a torch so you can kind of see where you're going.
Yeah. So I assume that leaves you without a shield.
Yes, it takes up one of your slots, and I believe you can like put it down and pick it back up if you need. When you attack dudes, it goes out, I think, which is weird.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I didn't really get a good picture of it because basically by the time I'd watched enough people, I knew the exact route to the boss, and I was just like, well, if I beat the boss, I get a T-shirt, so I'll just run straight to the boss and try and beat the boss. turns out I didn't beat the boss. I ran past all the dudes because I'd seen it. Like I knew exactly what to do. There was no point in me fighting these dudes. It would have just been the same as if I was just playing Dark Souls and going through an area I already knew because I just watched people play it so much. And then the boss is the Mirror Knight, which basically it's really resistive to magic. So if you chose the magic dude, you were basically boned and you were never going to beat it. The dude I picked was just the General Knight who had a giant, really double-handed sword kind of thing, and also a normal, one-handed short sword kind of thing. And I didn't like either of those weapons because they don't match the way I play the game at all. So I was just kind of fumbling my way through, really. The boss works in that every so often, like once you do enough damage or like after a certain amount of time, it'll sort of go into a defensive mode where it plants the mirror shield. And when it's in that mode, like if you attack it, you do barely any damage, like none at all. Especially if you ever hit the shield, you do no damage. And then whilst it's in that position, inside the shield, you can see like a human form. And then after a while, it'll actually spawn like a black knight that will come out of the shield and then try and attack you. So it kind of spawns minions to try and make the fight a little harder. The other thing it does is it has, I can't remember what its main weapon was, whether it was like a sort of trident-y spear type thing or just a giant sword, but it would shoot lightning bolt type things at you. One of its attacks was a slash forward that shot out a lightning bolt that was like the homing arrows, in the first game, but it went along the ground, was super fast, and the only way to dodge it was to roll at the last millisecond before it was going to hit. And I never dodged that attack, and it did so much damage, so it would just mess you up really badly. That attack sucked. And then just in general, just trying to do damage to it was a massive pain in the ass. The magic-y attacks it did were really hard to dodge, and the guys it spawned were a pain in the ass. I had a couple of friends who managed to beat it, and the only way they managed to beat it was by dual-handing the giant sword, and then just basically running in whenever it was open and just doing big attacks, and then taking the damage and walking away and coming back and then just slashing at it again. Because when you dual-handed the large sword, when it spawned the dude, you could actually one-shot the dude that it spawned immediately as soon as it spawned before it even attacked you. So you could just clean up the extra minion that it had really quickly. All in all, it felt like a lot of Dark Souls. Like, it didn't feel that different. None of the changes they made seemed that significant, or at least not to me. But it was kind of hard to tell from just a 20-minute demo where I basically just grinded against the boss repeatedly. But it looks cool, yeah. So if you're hyped for more Dark Souls, that seems like it's going to be more Dark Souls. So we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm really excited for that. Because like all the videos I've seen of it, I don't know, seems really, really interesting, and like seems like it's taking away a lot of the stuff that like a lot of the crutches you could sort of lean on. Like, I mean, Dark Souls 1 is still difficult, but there were stuff you could sort of like lean on to reduce that difficulty, like making the summon stuff like different, like having like a time limit on how long you can have people in, and like
I'm not really a massive fan of the changes to the summons.
Yeah, I mean that stuff's fine as long as the PvP is balanced. That was like the main issue with the PvP in Dark Souls, is that stuff just wasn't balanced. And like, Dark Souls is a hard game, but it for the most part it's fair.
I mean,
but like,
I felt like I've beaten as many dudes that have invaded me as I've died to. Like, whenever I get invaded, I'll either wreck the dude in like 2 hits, or he will demolish me in 1.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just a coin flip.
Yeah. I mean, I've had stuff where I'm on like the run up to a boss, and like I've got a bunch of souls, and I've beat pretty much all the enemies on the run up to the boss, and then a guy comes in and like has what is that ridiculous? It's like the dragon's tooth. It's like ridiculous weapon, and he managed to like backstab me even though he was like facing me. It was just because of the lag on like
the lag on consoles is pretty gnarly.
That was bad. That made me almost want to stop playing. So yeah, but they need to figure that stuff out, I guess. But hopefully,
I mean, some of the most fun I've had in Dark Souls was actually playing sort of co-op in quote marks when you like summoning a mate.
Yeah.
Go duo team a boss was good fun. But I kind of wish they would, for the people who want it, introduce some sort of co-op mode.
Yeah.
don't care if you stack the odds way against me, but I just like to play with a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
it doesn't
it's
really.
against the story or whatever, the aesthetic of the
Yes.
world, but I don't know. I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, any changes to make, they've got to make sure it's like. It's weird. They've got to sort of balance the single player out because. I mean, I suppose if they made the co-op just a completely different mode, it was like. So, like, you don't really have the bragging rights. It's like, oh, completed co-op. It's like, yeah, but that's, like, way easier than the single player or something. Like, maybe that would be a way of doing it. It's just because there is that is, like, sort of the whole thing about Dark Souls. It's that sort of, like, yeah, beat Dark Souls. Like, no matter what, like, how you did it, what sort of build you had, what you did in terms of summons, like, that is still a feat. And, like, I suppose if you, like, have co-op where you can talk to each other and, really synchronize what you're doing, like, that does become maybe a bit easier. But I mean, they do still like make enemies harder and bosses harder when you have summons. I think in Dark Souls, and I assume they're still going to have that for Dark Souls 2. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. So.
Mm-hmm. I guess I should probably mention the rest of Eurogamer, because of course at Eurogamer they had both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and I got to play with both of them, including both of the new controllers, which was kind of cool. I'll go through it in the order that of stuff that I kind of played when I went there. So one of the first things I did when I got there was seek out a PS4 and get my hands on the controller. Because that was one of the things I was most interested in doing, was really finding out what the controllers are like for both the new consoles. And then I immediately proceeded to like jam all of the buttons on the controller instead of playing whatever game it was attached to, just to see what they
felt like.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm so glad there was no like Sony representative or something standing next to me just being like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I was just sitting there like twiddling all the sticks, performing actions on them, that kind of thing. But I didn't bust out any Hadoukens or anything because I'm not that into fighting games. I don't care about D-pads. But
yeah, generally speaking, you don't probably wouldn't use a D-pad for that sort of game.
No.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What they had on display with what was attached to the PS4 controller I was holding was Octodad, the Deadliest Catch, which I guess is the fully fledged version of that that indie game where you play as an octopus pretending to be a dad, and you have to try and be as inconspicuous as possible. I'll talk about the controller first. So the PS4 controller's pretty cool. The sticks no longer feel like they're stupidly tall compared to the Xbox sticks because they're actually indented in the middle, although they do have like raised edges as far as I remember. All of the buttons feel pretty nice, and in particular the triggers feel like only marginally, like you can barely tell the difference between those triggers and like the action on an Xbox 360 controller. They feel just as good, and I'd be happy to use either. I think at this point that, and they've also, I don't know if you noticed, they've extended the length of the arms on each side of the PlayStation controller and possibly made it a bit wider.
That's good, because I think if you have like anything above small hands, then I think you're fucked.
Yeah, they've definitely made it bigger. Like they haven't made it thicker, I don't think, or at least not much. So it's not. It doesn't have the the size of an Xbox controller to it, but it definitely has more to hold on to, which is good. And yeah, I really like the triggers. In fact, I'll go as far as saying now, before I get into the Xbox controller, that the PS4 triggers are better than the Xbox One triggers.
That's a pretty interesting turnaround.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed with the Xbox One controller, but I'll get to that in a bit.
How's the D-pad? That's kind of the burning question.
The PS4 D-pad is, I don't know, I haven't used much of a PS3 D-pad, but it felt more or less the same, maybe a tad less spongy, but I don't really know what, off the top of my head, what a PS3 D-pad is like anymore.
The PlayStation controller D-pad pretty much hasn't changed since the PS1. I mean,
yeah.
It's pretty much the same.
The thing that
I'd say like the PS2 D-pad's a little bit stiffer. Like the PS2 one, sorry, did I say PS3? PS3 one feels a lot. It feels like you barely have to press it at all, whereas like the PS2 one is,
Are those buttons on it actually separate, or are they attached underneath?
It is one single piece,
Yeah.
but it is 4 separate contacts.
See, at that point,
Yeah.
I'd rather if you're gonna make it one piece, why can't they just be? If you're gonna make it 4 separate contacts, why not? Can't they just be 4 separate buttons rather than making it attached to?
Well, it
That's
has
the
to
thing
be,
I hate
doesn't it?
most about
Or
D-pads.
because what's Nintendo's weird patent on D-pads?
I don't know what
It's
their
like,
pattern is, but a Nintendo D-pads are a solid one-piece cross.
So is the
But are
now-
they is it one button though?
I
don't
don't
know.
I don't really know, but the Vita D-pad is just one button. It is a single piece. That is different. I mean, I don't know.
The way when I use a PS3 controller, it feels like, although they're 4 separate individual things, underneath there's some sort of plate holding them all together. So if I push the right one, the left one moves a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've ever taken, I mean, I've taken quite a few controllers apart, but the the D-pad itself is just like it's like a cross piece of plastic with the 4 bits on it.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like I'd rather have the D-pad just be 4 separate individual buttons.
I think that would be
shaped for
cool
my
too.
thumb.
It's just I think because
I don't like the way you can feel like the weight
Yeah,
of it lifting
would
on the
give
other
you-
side, because it feels spongy when you do that. I'd rather it just
that
be
is
like
true. But
clickier and more responsive on each individual button.
not to get too technical, but like that would make certain things possible that like people probably don't want to be possible in games because you
Like
able
pushing
to-
left and right at the same time.
Yeah, I mean that's you guys seen the pictures of that hitbox I bought, right? The button controller for fighting games.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have a stick; it has buttons.
Yeah.
You can do that on that. Like you can hold left and right on a hitbox. When pressed together, register as neutral. So you can do things like I think in the very first iteration of hitboxes, the one I have in games like Marvel and Street Fighter, like you can hold. I think it's back and forward and I can't remember the exact combination of what you have to do, but you can basically make it so that you can block on both sides simultaneously. And like that is literally impossible on a stick or a pad because you just cannot press 2 directions at the same time. And like it makes certain things like just ridiculously easy to do. So I guess maybe that's a reason why they don't do it, but
True. Yeah, fair enough.
and it increased production costs by quite a bit. I mean, you think they're making 4 times as many buttons, so they probably don't want to do that, even though they're only bits of plastic. But
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there'd be different molds, I guess. Anyway, yeah, it was fine. The sticks felt better, as I said. They didn't feel really tall like the PS3 sticks do compared to the Xbox sticks. And the underside material, it looks really different. It doesn't feel that different. Like I was expecting it to feel like super grippy and like some sort of matte, smooth material. It's just kind of like a different type of plastic. It's nice, but it's not like really luxury and felty like I thought it would be. But it felt pretty good. And then I was playing Octodad, which, if you've never played Octodad before, it's basically you have control of the octopus's arms, and they kind of just wave around like crazy, and then you can press like L2 and R2 to move its legs, and you can pick stuff up by pressing R1 to like pick it up when you put the hand there in the way. And the controls are really obviously loose because you're a fucking octopus and you can't do anything really precisely. I remember whilst I was doing it, some dude came over to me for some website or something and started filming me playing the goddamn game and like interviewing me about it. And I was playing it and I got to this bit where I had to put a bow tie on. And you had to collect the bow tie, go over to a mirror, stand in front of the mirror, and then put the bow tie on your neck before it would, and I couldn't do it. Like, whilst this dude was filming me, I was like, yeah, this isn't making this any easier. But it is really, really funny to watch Octodad play out. Now, I mean, the game, the section ends like you're meant to be like preparing for a wedding, and the section ends you have to walk down the aisle, which is conveniently lined with like hundreds of Ming vases, and not like try and knock over as few of them as possible, and then you pick out a ring and like have to put it on your bride's hand. It's really stupid. And really amusing and quite a cool game. So yeah, that was the first thing I played on a PS4. Where did it go from there? I think next thing of note worth talking about that I did there, I obviously got hold of an Xbox One controller, and my game of choice to try out the Xbox One controller was in fact Forza 5. So, John, you might be interested. 'Cause you're a
Vaguely,
Forza guy.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Not really.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be a Forza guy because I'm probably not going
Because
to
you're
have an
going to get a
Xbox
PS4.
One for yeah. But then again, I'm not going to be a Gran Turismo guy. I know unless they do something. Those games are just far too bland.
I
for
also
me.
played Drive Club, so we can talk about that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. That's I guess that's the other one.
That's
but-
your other. I'd say that's the Forza of PS4 really. At this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So starting with Forza, gosh, I took a picture of the controller. Hold on, let me get it up now to try and remind me. I took a picture of they had the consoles in a box, sort of like in a case with a Kinect slapped on top. I guess because those kits are so old, the software on them still requires you to have a Kinect plugged in, so they had to have this stupid Kinect there. And the controllers like you were using, you were, I don't know, 30 centimeters away from the Kinect, so I can't imagine it actually. That's a usable distance for the Kinect. To be honest, I'd be very surprised if that actually worked. So let me just flick back to. Here we go. I've got a picture of it here. I would send it to you, but it's on my phone, so maybe I'll send it to you afterwards. First thing to note, the A, B, X, and Y buttons look really slick in black, and they felt pretty nice as well. The start and select buttons have been replaced with two nondescript buttons, one with this horizontal lines on it that looks like the menu option in Google Chrome, and one which is the multitasking button, I think. That's what it looks like. It looks like two squares. I don't like those buttons. They're not really labeled very well. I think the controller is fucking god awful, like visually. I think it's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. But maybe that's just me. And I don't like the start and select button replacements. I think on PlayStation as well, the fact that they've replaced select with share is very confusing. I think I hit it at one point to see what it did, and it brought up.
I don't like that.
Both consoles have gone away from start and select, and their replacements are both confusing.
Well,
and
isn't
bad.
what does the PS4 have for start? Isn't that still a start?
It's still
button?
start, but the select is share.
Yeah,
But
but they
also,
still
like-
have because I mean, like select in. I mean, there's quite
Or
a
is
few
it menu?
games
It
really.
might say menu. I can't remember.
Okay. But yeah, there's quite a few games where select is used for things. Like it's that is a button.
It is the forgotten button in a way, but it does actually get.
Yeah, like I mean, it's a very common one for map. It's a
very
common map button.
It's a really good shortcut button.
Yeah, like start is pretty much like always like a universal pause or item menu or something. So yeah, like I don't like the idea of losing two buttons. I think controllers could do with more buttons, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that you start and select buttons on either controllers, particularly like on the PS4 controller. They're like near the top of the controller on either side of the touchpad, which I touched, but it didn't do anything, sadly. So they're like vertical slice buttons. Like they work fine. I just don't like the name replacements. And on the Xbox controller, they're just not named at all, and I don't know what they do. It just seemed weird. The logo on the Xbox controller lights up white, in case you were wondering. It's kind of interesting, at least. And then I'll get on to the real problem with the Xbox controller. Number one, the sticks are not good. They feel small, as in they are physically, like the diameter is smaller than an Xbox 360 stick, and I don't know why. I'm not sure if that's just a mental thing because of the way they're curved or whether they are actually physically smaller, but in my hands, it felt like they were actually, smaller than they should be. It felt weird. The indentation's fine. They might have gone, the actual shape of them is fine. They're like rough around the edge, and then the inside is smooth and like deeply indented. Like there's loads of space for you to get a good grip on them, and there's a nice little lip on it to hold it. I just didn't like the fact that they were so small. The bumper buttons are freaking huge, so you can't miss them anymore. Like I broke the bumper buttons on one of my controllers, and I can only push it on like one side, but the bumper buttons on the
bumpers on 360 are pretty bad.
They break easily. They don't feel good. On the Xbox One, they're definitely improved. They're like big, you can't miss them, and they click real good. So that's a plus. The triggers, however, are the most disappointing thing about the Xbox One controller. So the triggers, it's hard to explain, but you've seen the pictures. They kind of curve out at the end. They flick forwards. So that's where my fingers naturally rest on a trigger. They don't rest in the scoops,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean. So when I push an Xbox trigger, my finger's right on the end of the trigger, pushing the like longest part of it. And so with the Xbox One controller, my fingers are right on this sticky out point, which makes so when I push the trigger all the way in, because it's extended out further, it doesn't feel like I've depressed the trigger all the way. Like compared to an Xbox controller, it would recede further into the controller. Like it would, I'd be able to push it in further. So it feels like they just don't feel like they have as long a range. The reach on them isn't quite as long. It doesn't feel the same because of that little flick at the end, which is really peculiar. And then of course Forza also had the vibration in the triggers, which was just weird. Like it didn't make any sense for the triggers to be vibrating. Like when I accelerated, the trigger would start vibrating, and then the other one, when I brake really hard, it would also go. I don't understand why they've added that at all, really. The last thing to say, obviously, is the D-pad. I haven't talked about that at all. It's definitely better. I will say that much. So it's very clicky. Like it feels proper, like poppy clicky. Like every time when you push up, left or right or down, you can probably hear the click when you push them. They're not spongy at all. However, it's still like the one piece thing, and it's like, other than that, it's more or less the same. They just made it a bit more clicky, I think.
Yeah. And I think like the qualification of better than the 360 D-pad is not really like that. That's not really saying a lot.
That's
and I mean, I know people that say that I blow that out of proportion, but like those people usually don't have never used a PlayStation D-pad, and it's like, yeah, you just probably haven't used a better one. So for you, like that is okay. It's like it's really not.
Yeah, it's terrible. Actually, today I was playing Metro, and on the D-pad switches like your thrown weapon.
Yeah.
And that completely fucked up for me. So like I threw a throwing knife instead of a grenade, which completely fucked me, and I died. And that D-pad's the worst.
Yeah. And it's always great. I remember my kind of, in a way, fondest memories of it is like playing Gears 1, and like you try and get your shotgun out and you pull out
Oh
smoke
god,
in
yeah. Fuck that
multiplayer,
shit.
and it's like, yep, this D-pad is great.
I think for utility actions like changing weapons and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot better. Because good. When you pressed it. When you press it, there's like physical feedback, the click you can feel and I suppose hear when you press it. And if you want to double tap it, I'm sure you could bam and you'd feel it. As for like playing a platformer or like doing sort of movement commands in a fighting game, I still think it would be garbage.
Yeah, I think it's like the individual like buttons on like like the PlayStation D-pad. I think because you can kind of roll your thumb across them, it's like you can get like quarter circle forwards pretty easily on that. Yeah. Whereas on an Xbox pad, like you try like a quarter circle and you get like down, forward, because it like because it registers like fucking everything, and it's like, no, like I didn't like there is no fucking universe, right? That is why I actually pressed. And
yeah, that's true.
I feel like command history is a pretty good like debunker for the Xbox 360 D-pad. It's like, no, that thing really is that bad.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the two controllers. I should probably talk about Forza as well. It handled like shit. Okay, that's all I need to say about Forza.
Really?
I didn't enjoy it.
All right, okay. Well, that's not good, seeing as that's like one of their last exclusives.
I mean, I went on to it and I went, look, I know how to play racing games. Turn off the assists. I'll be like, I left on traction control, I think. No, or was it ABS? One of the two. Like I had at least one assist on just to try and so it wasn't on like full simulation, fuck you mode. And I can usually play most racing games just fine like that. But I could barely keep. What was I driving? It was I can't even remember. I couldn't keep it on the track, to be honest, and I knew the track as well. Like it wasn't like it was a track that I didn't know. It was just. It just felt really, the sticks particularly really didn't help. Like they were so off-putting. The sizing of the sticks, I just couldn't steer accurately. I didn't feel, and I would put that. I don't know what I put that down to, but I didn't. I found Forza a little bit disappointing. But it's hard to tell from a one-lap race round one track with.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a great way to show it off.
No,
Like-
it was kind of poor demo to put it like that, I think. So what else did I do whilst I was there? I played some other stuff. I saw people playing with Oculus Rifts and so on, and I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of the dude that has that. Oh fuck, what's it called? So it's like you put on like a thing that straps around your waist, and then you put on really slippery shoes, and then you stand in like a little bowl. And you
Yeah,
walk
I've heard
and
of
it
that.
goes-
I can't remember what it's called though.
They had one of those, and so you couldn't go in it because you have to wear these special low friction shoes to be able to use it. And they obviously had this dude had his pair of low friction shoes that he wasn't going to be like sharing to people because different foot sizes, and also why the fuck would you share shoes with somebody? That's disgusting. So you could just go over and watch this dude run around in this thing in Team Fortress 2. It was really strange.
Did you said you used an Oculus Rift, right? Did you use
Yes,
one?
but
Yeah.
not at Eurogamer. My friend who I live with at the moment, he has a dev kit, and so I will get onto that in a while. I think I'll wrap up my Eurogamer trip first. I'm just trying to think, what else did I play? I mean, they had Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online had a huge section of the show floor. They must have had like 32, maybe probably more actually, probably like 48 PCs, maybe more. Between 48 and 64 PCs, I think, set up to play that, obviously, so you could have like a vaguely populated kind of starting area, I guess, for people to run around in. They had like full character creation and stuff. I stood and watched it for a bit, and then went, "Yep, I don't, nope," and then walked away.
I do not want this.
Yeah, it's just other people in my Elder Scrolls game, and then also a sort of off-brand Elder Scrolls game are two things I do not want.
I would like maybe like one person just for like I don't know. Like
I mean, as
one person is fine.
as someone who
but-
plays a stealthy thief character, I think the concept of someone coming
Yeah,
and
true.
fucking everything up and
Yeah,
murdering everything
fine.
before you even get there, and also I Elder Scrolls is one of the only games I really like deeply immerse myself in. Like I will wear headphones, like black out the lights, like just immerse myself in that world. I'm happy to just walk around like Elder Scrolls worlds and just like chat to people and look at trees and shit, because it's just such a beautiful world and a really awesome atmosphere to take in. And everything about having more people in that is bad to me. I mean, sure, if that's what you're into, great. I mean, it looked like a fine MMO, but also, again, it's a fucking MMO, so
Yeah.
I wasn't particularly interested in that part of it either. One I had a really good time. Do you guys know of Frozen Synapse?
Yep.
Oh yeah, of course you do. You played it.
We played it.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. Did we ever actually play a multiplayer game against each other?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
Can't remember. Maybe you two did. I don't know.
No, I'm sure me and you played, Brad.
I've
Maybe
definitely played
maybe.
against Brad.
Oh, I have really bad memory. All right. So, one of the developers of Frozen Synapse was there in the sort of indie booth in the corner showing off Frozen End Zone, which
Oh yeah.
fucking awesome. So
That's
he was
right.
just there.
First off, that's a bad name, but that game does look really awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it was fantastic because he was like, a dude who actually works on the game and is actually invested in the game rather than just some PR guy who was paid to go stand at a booth. And because it was in the indie area, it wasn't even really busy. Like there were a couple of people playing the game when we arrived. So me and my friend just kind of chatted with the guy about the development of Frozen Synapse, like what it was like working on Frozen End Zone. Had like all kind of in-depth chats about that kind of process. Yeah, I talked to him about because the whole game is based on the Frozen Synapse engine. So I was like, at some point, did you just basically hack in, American football rules into Frozen Synapse? And he was like, yeah, it just had the same graphics. And like we had little army men going around throwing footballs to each other because it's literally the same engine.
Yeah.
And they said it was really cool because they got in an artist, like a proper artist this time, to make them art that looks cool, because that game looks like so much different from the way Frozen Synapse does. And then all of a sudden the game was just like this pretty amazing thing that looked completely different, but underneath it's mechanically almost identical. And so basically me and my friend sat down next to each other, my friend who had never played Frozen Synapse before and me who had, and the developer sat with my friend and basically guided him through what to do and like kind of watched us play a game against each other. And the game mode we were playing was so obviously you can play, you know, proper American football where you have like I don't know whether it's like full teams or whether it's just like, you know, a certain number of dudes like lined up like a hike, and then every, I suppose, round in that game is just one play, and so you have one play to make a touchdown, and that's it. And so the difference is in Frozen Synapse, it'll split up into 5-second chunks. And so 5 seconds will play out, then you make your moves, and then 5 seconds will play out. In this, that doesn't really work because in a lot of, you know, sports games, 5 seconds a play will be over. So they couldn't do it in like fixed time chunks. It just wouldn't work out at all. So the way they do it is every time the ball changes state. So the ball starts on the ground and you have to run and pick it up. Then from there you can throw it forward once, or you can choose to run with it, in which case you can't pass it anymore. And every time the ball like changes state, so when you pick it up, the game will stop and go back to the edit mode. When a pass is complete, the game will stop and go back to the edit mode. And then, you know, if someone gets tackled, like that's the way it plays out. And so the mode we were playing had sort of a randomly generated, so it was a football field, and then there were randomly generated like blocks in the way to try and like divide it up and make it a bit more interesting. And there were sort of knee-high blocks that you couldn't obviously walk through. You had to walk around, but you could throw a pass over, and then really tall blocks which you couldn't throw a pass through and would block your, you know, your quarterback if you were trying to lob it forward to one of your guys. Other modifiers it had were these areas on the ground where if you caught the ball standing in that area, you would get an extra point if you scored a touchdown. Then there were zones that were worth 3 points and zones that were worth 5 points. So basically, if you score a proper touchdown by running into the end zone, you would get 5 points plus any modifiers. And then there were small squares where you could kind of get like a cheeky touchdown if the actual, you know, end zone was blocked off, just to get 3 points. And it started off, one person was obviously, you know, defending the play and one person was attacking, and then you swapped, and whoever, you know, got the most points out of the two plays was the victor in the thing. And it was really fun. Like the controls mapped over really well. I think it's actually kind of simplified. It doesn't have the whole complications of, so in Frozen Synapse you'd have to consider, you know, the sort of rock paper scissors of all the different type of dudes. So you had the shotgun dude who would shoot really quickly up close, the machine gunner who would at medium range win out, and a sniper who at long range would be, you know, he'd take a while to wind up his shot, but he would hit before like a machine gunner could across the whole length of the map.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any of that. All the dudes are effectively the same. Any dude can block any other dude just by running into them. And if you can, when you've got the ball, if you hit an enemy dude, that counts as end of play, and you know that's effectively the round over. Also, if you can make incomplete passes and the play carries on. So if your dude doesn't get to the pass in time, he can run and pick up the ball again if it lands on the ground, which is quite a deviation from standard American football rules, if you know, because obviously normally if you miss a pass, that's it, play ends. But that's actually completely legal in this. And you also don't have to worry about things like ducking behind cover, you know, the confusing stuff in Frozen Synapse of like, you know, you can set a dude to duck behind cover and like he gets a cover bonus. So all of that stripped out. It's literally just make your dudes move, choose where to throw ball, run dude into end zone, and set up all the blocks and stuff. So it's much less to keep in your mind, but that also makes it much more elegant when it plays out and easier for people to grasp and do cool stuff with. So the experience of A, chatting with the developer, and B, playing what's actually a pretty cool game was one of the best experiences I think I had at Eurogamer. For sure. I really enjoyed that. And also I definitely recommend that's going into some sort of open beta soon, and I'd probably recommend checking it out if you enjoyed Frozen Synapse.
Yeah, I mean, like the really brief video that came out quite a while ago looked really interesting. So yeah, I'll definitely. It's weird seeing quite a lot of indie developers go down that route of like sort of like breaking down sports, like actual sports, into the like most basic components.
Yeah.
And like making like really fun games out of them.
What other examples are you thinking of?
Oh well, there's that pack of 4 games that's coming out, I think, for PS4, which is called like Sports Friends, I think.
Okay.
Which is like it takes like there's a sort of volleyball, football sort of game. There's a bunch of like, it takes like sports and it does like sort of combines them and breaks them down into what's, you know, like takes a lot of the complications of actual sports out and just breaks them down into what makes them actually fun. it's always entertaining, I guess. Like, I think that's the thing that's sort of been lost is like as like games like obviously games like FIFA and Madden and whatever like try and simulate the real game, they sometimes lose what actually makes those games fun. Like I still think that oh god, what was that Mario football game for the GameCube called? I always forget the name of it, but I honestly think that is the best football game of all time. It's entirely unrealistic and stupid, really. But I think it's like it takes what is fun about football and makes it into a really awesome game. And it's good to see like indie developers picking that up because that's not really something that happens as much now. Like all those like Mario sports games are just gone almost. Like that used to be like Nintendo used to pump those things out, and they're just completely gone now. So
yeah, those were good.
Yeah. God, I need to remember the name of that game because I think it's like the one on the Wii was called like Stress Charged or something, and it's something. I think it might just be called Mario Smash Football.
Star Strikers. No,
something.
That's a StarCraft game mode.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do want to check that out, even if it has got a dumb name.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I'll only talk about one more thing from Eurogamer, lest it drag on forever. But the best thing that I played there was assuredly Titanfall. None of my friends wanted to queue up for Titanfall, so I ended up queuing up on my own for the 2.5 hours or whatever it took me to actually get to play that. So that was fun. And it was kind of cool the way they had it set up. So like when you went through the queue, they had a little cinema area where you sat down and got to watch a sort of video about the game, sort of like a trailer for the demo you were about to play, that explained a bunch of concepts about the game, stuff that wouldn't be in the demo but would be in the full game, and showed off like some of the weapon loadouts and stuff. And one of the things that stood out most to me in that video was there's this pistol that blew my mind, right? So there's this pistol that you can use. It's like one of the assassin, like stealthy class pistols. And what it does is you tag 3 dudes, up to 3 dudes, with the pistol. And then as long as they're all still within your screen, no matter what direction, like no matter where you're aiming, when you fire, all of the bullets will come out of the gun. Like you'll fire a whole clip, and they will all like bend round corners to like they won't go around corners, but they will bend in the direction of the dude. So like you could have one dude walk off to the left, one off to the right and up a wall, and one go straight on, and the bullets will just spread out in the direction of all 3 of them and like kill all 3 when you fire it. It's bananas, and I have no idea how to actually use it, and I was too frightened of wasting time to actually use it in the demo.
Yeah, but, that sounds like there was an assault rifle in Resistance.
Yeah,
where
that's
you could tag enemies.
Oh yeah, that was like
the
corners. What the fuck are they called? The Chimera.
It's like the Marksman or something. Yeah,
yeah,
it was the
like the Mark. That's it. Yeah, the Marksman. Yeah, like it's alternate fire was like you just fired like a dart into them.
Yeah, like a tracer dart.
That was so broken in Resistance 1. It was so good.
Yeah.
It did remind me of that. Yeah.
Except it was only like you could only tag one enemy at a time.
Yeah, you can only tag one enemy, but you could. It worked really well in Resistance 1.
Yeah. So the way they had this set up was it was probably the map that you see in all of the videos if you've seen any videos of Titanfall, and you're either on the I can't remember the way that they worded it. So there's like some sort of rebels and some sort of official state force or something, and one group's trying to turn up because they've heard there's something there and they have to try and collect this thing and extract it or whatever. I can't remember the story. There was some sort of story justification, and when you first drop down, there's you get like a little cutscene kind of thing with like some dude being put into a manhole cover to go like search for something. I can't remember the exact justification of the whole story stuff. All I know is whilst the initial cutscene at the start of the mission is happening, you can run around, and I proceeded to run around and then jump and clip through the dude who was giving the story information. So all the people who were watching the story information saw me clipping inside the main dude, which was kind of stupid, and that's the kind of thing that's going to happen if you put your story in a multiplayer game. So yeah, not sure how the story stuff is going to work out, but that wasn't really the point of the demo. The point of the demo was to play Titanfall. I ended up... So the thing that caught me out the most and I didn't realize before I went and played Titanfall. And it was one thing they did briefly mention in the video, although I'm sure a lot of people glossed over it. So I was standing in the queue watching people play Titanfall, and every person I watched, literally every person, including people who looked like they'd never played a video game before, was doing something awesome. And I mean, like, I would stand behind people and like everyone was just, killing everybody, not dying very often, like jumping up roofs, like all of a sudden in a mech, doing all kinds of cool shit. And eventually when I started watching it, I was like, so I was watching someone who, admittedly didn't look like they were amazing at video games. They were fine, but they weren't like someone who had obviously played a lot of online shooters. They come around a corner and they see a dude, and like, if I would have seen that dude, they would have been dead by now. But this person kind of stood there, didn't react as quickly as, someone who had played a lot of shooters, then went and shot the dude. And I was like, well, how come, the dude that person shot didn't kill them in that preceding time? And what I came to realize is they actually populate the multiplayer matches with a bunch of AI. And there's story justification for it. So obviously, the whole thing the game mode they were playing is I believe a 6v6 game mode, with this, so I don't think all the game modes have story stuff interweaved in, but this one was the specific story one. And the idea is the AI you have with you are sort of additional people of, whatever faction that you're from, helping you do this kind of, sweep wave kind of attack thing on this city. And additionally, one of those AI will be like the, quote unquote leader that, the story driven main dude kind of thing. And so all of these people have like fake names, and when you kill them, it comes up, you killed Claude or whatever the dude's name was, and it'll give you like, I don't know, 300 points. But then if you kill the one that's the leader, you'll get like way more experience. Additionally, it seemed like when you killed humans, you would get way more experience than when you killed the boss.
Also, I'm not laughing at you, Brad, by the way. Sorry, I just read something fucking hilarious. Wait.
So yeah, it seemed like you would get more points for killing humans, but the way that they had thrown in all these bots seemed like, I mean, it didn't look detrimental to the experience. It wasn't like, oh man, they put in loads of bots and now the multiplayer experience isn't pure.
Like, so are those bots in there like in addition to the 6v6?
Yes.
Okay, right.
So there's 6v6 plus AI on each team. And I mean, the more I watched
sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it does sound like a terrible idea.
That kind of already exists to a certain extent in other games. Like,
it didn't seem terrible in that when I was watching these people who, as I said, admittedly didn't look like they'd played a whole bunch of online shooters, it kind of made me think, how in like Call of Duty or something, they try and make it so that everyone has fun by like throwing unlocks and shit and constant like upgrades and all that bullshit at you all the time. It seems like the way that Titanfall's going about it is, what about if we just make it easier to kill people by throwing in these bots? So these people who maybe couldn't kill human players can kill these bots, and those kind of people who couldn't kill human players might not notice that they're just killing bots rather than human people, because they're not going to pay that much attention.
Yeah.
If you kind of get what I'm coming at. And yes, they're worth less points.
No, I mean, like, in terms of like the actual, like, say if you're playing team deathmatch, and it's first to 100 kills, like are AI's bots worth like half a point?
I'd say, see, in like team deathmatch, I don't know whether bots would be in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because like that immediately makes me think of how bots are handled in Gears, which is fucking terribly.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
they. It seemed like that.
Yeah, because I mean, in Gears 2. They were useless up until the fact that they looked at you once and, mowed down your entire fucking team. And then in Gears 3, they were kind of the same. It's like they're useless up until the fact that, they just look at you and you're dead. Like, because they are so powerful. But of course, the downside is, if you just play super safe, like, you can just really fuck a team over if they have, like, even one bot on their team, because that bot will just keep dying over and over and over again.
Yeah. So as I said, at least the video I watched beforehand made it seem like the bots were at least mainly only in the story-driven mode, which was the one that we were playing.
Yeah.
Which is the 6v6, to flesh it out, and obviously there's the justification for them being there. But it seemed like an interesting way of making the people who aren't necessarily as good as the game still have fun and feel like they're achieving something good. Because as I was saying, I was watching like I went past a row of like 16 people and watched all of them play, and every single one was murdering fools and jumping up buildings and doing cool shit. It seemed like everyone was instantly like grasping this game, and I suppose that's good in a way.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say it is, but yeah, for other people it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like the majority of online shooters, like even the ones that aren't really kind of ones you can just kind of get straight into, like they're not that hard. Like Call of Duty, I guess, is the one that kind of you can just pick up and play and do well in, but
yeah,
even the ones that you can't, like it doesn't take a lot to really kind of get to know what to do and what not to do.
I mean, it makes me feel like in this game, if you have a negative kill death ratio, you must have like no hands or something.
So, I would really like to see that stat in particular just removed from online shooters, because it's just it's ruined so much.
Well, the thing is, going back to talking about, so when I said you get less points when you kill these AI, that's like your experience points. I don't think that is got anything to do with the score on the leaderboards, because I opened up the leaderboard and I didn't have enough time to look at it properly, because obviously I wanted to play the game. I didn't want to sit there and try and decipher a fucking leaderboard. But the leaderboard had like 5 freaking columns. There was like one that I assume was how many Titans you've killed, one that was how many real players, one that was like probably how many AI, and then like 2 others I don't even know what they were. And then I had a score. I scored like 92, but I don't know why I scored 92 or what that even means, because it wasn't the sum of the number of things I killed. I don't know if they're getting multiplied by anything. And every time I killed dudes, I'd get between 300 and 5,000 points. So I don't know where those points are going. I assume they're experience. So all of the numbers made absolutely no sense in a really quick, like 10-minute play session. All I can say is it feels really good. It's like the whole free running thing is super easy to do, like jumping up buildings, like running up walls, all of that stuff. Like is just really easy to pick up. Like it's just like jam A and you'll be fine. It felt really slick. It allows you to do really cool things. Like whenever I was in danger, I felt like I could get away really easily, even when I was in a mech. So I think one of the biggest mistakes I made. I mean, I came 3rd overall, I think, in the whole game. And I felt like I was doing amazing. Like I died like once, I think, and I felt like I was doing amazing, but only came 3rd overall. So that's a testament to how easy the game is. But I got a mech pretty early on. The mechs are really easy to get. That's another thing. Like even people that are playing bad will just get a mech at some point. I don't understand how it hands out the mechs. It might just be a timer or something. I'm really not sure. So I got in my mech, and then I was in my mech for like a solid 5 minutes without dying. Like, so the mechs are really fast. First of all, they also have a boost that recharges, and you can use it twice before it runs out of juice. So if you start taking, like, if you're getting dumped on by another mech and your shields drop, it's really easy to just boost backwards once and then like left once to go around a corner and get completely out of sight. They are really nimble and really easy to use, and like as I said, I was in it for 5 minutes, which is like half the game. It was nigh on impossible to kill me in that thing once I got going. And I had the one which had the anti-personnel. So there's like ones that's good against killing mechs, one that's good against killing on the ground humans, and one that's, I don't know, somewhere in the middle. And I had the one that shot like grenade launcher type things that just blew up humans really easy and just went on a kill spree. But I feel like if I'd spent less time in the mech, I probably would have done better overall, actually. Because just so big, it's just easy for people to avoid you and for you to miss things. The animation and stuff is really slick for the mech. Like the ways you can get in your mech, there's so many different ways. Like you just go up to it and it grabs you and like shoves you in, or you can jump from above it and it'll like it's really clever at knowing where you're coming at it from and easily putting you into it. Additionally, it's really easy to kill other people's mechs. Like if you see a mech going past and you happen to want to launch yourself onto top of it, you can jump on there and then start dumping at its like fusion core until it explodes, Halo style, whilst you ride it piggyback. Although whilst you're in that position, someone can easily shoot you off if they're paying attention. But obviously the guy who's driving the mech is completely fucked unless he has someone there to help him. All in all, I had a really fun time playing it. I mean, it's still a first-person shooter, and that's a tired genre.
But it was putting it mildly.
But it was a fun one.
Yeah.
And I had a significantly good time playing that demo, and it's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on. Like, I didn't think I'd be at all interested in another shooter, but Titanfall
I don't know what it's going to take for me to get interested in another shooter. I don't know.
Gears 5.
Nah, I mean, I haven't even played Judgment yet. For me, like Gears peaked at 3, and like I mean, like 3 is unbelievably good, but they like they they just had to make another one, so that's that. Halo, like I mean, I'll play Halo 5, but like multiplayer shooter wise, it's like I don't know what will get me into them again. Probably just a long break. Maybe in like 5 years, I'll like find them exciting again. But
Indeed. All right then. Yeah. So that wraps up Eurogamer. I don't think there's much more else to say about that. I guess I should probably like talk about what I actually played this week, maybe as well.
yeah.
So you don't mind me continuing to talk.
Well, depends what you played. Did you play anything good?
I played quite a few good things actually.
That's cool then.
Yeah. So, oh shit, I haven't even talked about the Rift yet. Fuck. All right, I'll start with the Rift. So, my friend did an internship over the summer at Ninja Theory, who you should know, Joe.
Cool. Yeah, they made that DMC
Cry.
game.
Exactly, that's correct. And when he was there, they had a Rift, and he used it, and then immediately went home and bought his own Rift. Bought the dev kit because he enjoyed it that much. So now I have like permanent access to a Rift constantly. And gosh, that thing's cool. So the first thing I did with it is played the Rift Coaster, which is the roller coaster demo in Unreal Engine, where you slap the Rift on and kind of look around. There's no direct control of it, and it rides around a roller coaster track. And geez, the first thing that you realize when you wear that thing is it is unlike anything else. It
really is, yeah.
I can't even articulate it. So when you go like down the big drop on the roller coaster, it physically makes like your stomach lurch as if you think you are going down a drop on a roller coaster. It has that such a strong, physical effect on like tricking your brain into thinking you are seeing like a 3D environment and experiencing whatever you're looking at, just because of you can't see anything else, and also the stereoscopic 3D giving you that depth and like really emphasizing that kind of drop kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of sensation is nothing I've ever felt before playing something virtual. It was like actually being on a roller coaster, and that immediately blew my mind. Just doing that, I was just like, okay, I see why this thing is cool now. From there, I've gone on to play. I've played probably about half an hour to an hour of Half-Life 2 using it, just to see what like a real game would play like using it, and also, how shooting, actually doing something that you would do in a video game feels using the Rift. And Half-Life 2 is one of the few games, because of Valve, that actually has proper official support for the Rift. There's a few other games you can get hacked in support and so on. The thing that's weird is obviously you have to consider how it's going to control. So you've got the movement of your head can obviously move your vision and turn you to some degree. Like theoretically, you can turn all the way around just by moving your head if you like stood up and didn't mind getting tangled in horrible cables. But then of course you've got the mouse control. So the way most games do it is up and down. The mouse no longer does any up and down control. That's only done by your head. And then left and right can still be influenced by the mouse when you push like the, say, aiming cursor to the edges of the screen to push it around. But your head is, and the other way you would turn left and right, obviously. So you've got a mixture of both there. So you can kind of look around and the cursor will stay still, or you can push around to like turn around so you don't have to physically kind of get up and turn. The main problem, there's two problems with the Rift. Okay, the main problem is the screen. And this is probably the biggest problem, is that 720p, when it's in your face, like literally, I don't know, an inch away from your face or less, then being put through two giant magnifying glasses, effectively, which are the lenses so that you can actually see it, the pixels are ginormous.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, does it?
Have you used one yourself?
Yeah, I used one at Evo, and that was my
biggest...
biggest...
I didn't realise you...
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with it too. Like, I mean, you can adjust, like, I think when you very first put it on, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's definitely so this is what it's like.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Okay, and I mean we'll get onto news in a bit, but when I see Oculus Rift 4K kits being made, I don't think that seems a bit extreme. I think it needs 4K
Yeah,
screens. Like
yeah, it
1080p
needs that.
won't cut it. 1080p is still going to look like
I mean,
crap,
1080p
to be
would be
honest.
slightly better, but I mean,
It won't make
it won't make it won't
no.
make a huge difference. So, like,
Yeah.
if they really want to kind of have that as like an optional, form of, I don't know what you'd call it, but like, way to play a game, for lack of a better word, that needs to be better. Like when you look at it that close, because I really think it could be. I mean, the game they had it on for Evo was like a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, and like it would be awesome for that kind of game. But you'd need far better visuals for it.
Yeah, so like the main problems you run into with that resolution screen is one, everything constantly looks blurry. Like even if you spend ages, like because obviously I have one, I've had a chance to sit down and spend half an hour tweaking it to get it as perfect as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you do that, like once you get it, comfortable, once you get the lenses the right distance from your eyes, so it's not straining your eyes and the crossover's kind of good. It's blurry. Like the whole world, it's like you need glasses. Because of the pixel density makes it impossible to focus on anything that's more than a foot from your character. And secondly, text is illegible, just straight up. Like in Half-Life, you know how it says health in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, I can read the number. I can't read the word health. So it's kind of like a bit. Yeah. As we said, a 4K Oculus is something I could get very excited about. The second thing that you discover when you have permanent access to an Oculus Rift is that when you play it for a long time, you have a very strong urge to vomit everywhere. So, I mean, I think my longest single session on a Rift was half an hour, and afterwards I just felt nauseous for the next hour and a half before the sensation passed of nausea.
I didn't get to use it for that long, but like that sort of stuff, like virtually never affects me.
Yeah, me too. I don't get motion sick.
Like
I
things
for half
that
an
people
hour. I felt nauseous for an hour and a half. Trust me.
Yeah, I'd have to use one for longer to test it. But yeah, like I'm kind of the same. Like when people like if something is supposedly supposed to make you feel like sick or anything, like when I do it, it's like no, that didn't make me feel ill. Like,
so like it's just the kind of thing of so I sat down at one point, put the Rift on, for this half an hour session, put headphones on. So when you're in there, first of all, you're like incredibly vulnerable because you have the outside world is gone. Like the game is the only world that exists to you at that point. Because you can't hear or see anything. It's kind of creepy to just because it really messes with your head. So you're in this world, and at a certain point there'll be this. You'll think, I don't want to be in this world anymore, and you have to get out. and it's just this kind of. It gets really claustrophobic at a certain point as well. And one thing I definitely recommend you never, ever do with the Rift is there's this particular point in Half-Life. When you climb on the crates and then jump out that window at the very beginning of Half-Life, and just after you've met Gordon for the first time, you jump out of a window.
No, I don't actually play Half-Life 1, so
Half-Life 2. But yes, anyway, the point is you jump out this window, which is kind of cool because like you can see down. You're like, whoa, it looks like a long way, and then you jump down. In the courtyard that you jump into, there happens to be a tree, and I thought I'd walk up to the tree and have a look, as you do. And one of the branches of the tree was sticking out forwards towards me. And then I got nearer to it, and then it clipped inside my face. When something clips inside your face, when you think you're in that world, you get kind of scared very suddenly about why this thing is inside your face. And it's quite a terrifying experience. So, yeah, never let things clip through your face when using the Rift. Otherwise, you will have a sudden heart attack and then want to take the Rift off very suddenly. So, I mean, I think the Rift is unlike any other gaming experience I've ever had. And I think it's really cool and really promising. It has, obviously, the issues that we've discussed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of it. I mean, I played a bunch of. I don't know if you saw the Oculus Rift. What was it called? VR Jam. They did like a game jam where they got people to, 48-hour kind of thing, make a game for the Oculus Rift. I played a bunch of those. One of them is the one that won is called CIES, CIESS, and it's kind of like a hacking mini game type thing that's really cool. So like you're just kind of floating, and then all around you in like a big sphere is these nodes, like computer nodes that are like sharing data between each other. And you can kind of, if you sit in a swivel chair, it works really well because you can kind of just swivel around and look at all of them, like in all different directions around you. And then you like select one, and it zooms in into the inside of it, and you kind of aim with your head and play a little simple hacking mini game. But what's cool is when you're looking around inside that sphere, you can still see the web of all the other spheres outside. And unlike anything else that I've really played with the Rift, it's not grounded in reality. And those kind of experiences are actually kind of cool because it's kind of like you're inside the Matrix kind of thing. It's like, you know, what's it like to be inside a virtual reality representation of, you know, a computer network or something. It was kind of neat, and was actually probably, I don't know if I'd say the funnest, like most fun thing that I've played with the Rift, but it was definitely, I know I had me and two of my flatmates were, you know, sitting and playing it, and we got quite into like doing well at it. And it was a really simple game. Like it was remarkably simple. It wasn't challenging at all, but it kind of got you excited for succeeding in it. And the other thing, the one game I recommend playing if you have a Rift, the one indie game, is called Dumpy. It's not really a game. I'd call it more of an experience. But it's, how do I put this? Right. You have a long thing coming out of your face. Let's say you're an elephant. Imagine you're an elephant.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, I know it.
And you could swing your head around to move the trunk. First of all, it makes you look like an absolute cretin to anyone watching, which is amazing and really, really funny. And secondly, oh my god, it's so stupid and you need to play it. I got so into it, I actually smashed my face on a desk because when you're, obviously I was wearing the Rift, I couldn't see where the desk was, and I was swinging my head so vigorously that I actually proper whacked my face on a desk whilst launching my elephant trunk around to knock large physicsy obstacles into one another. So if you haven't seen Dumpy, like look it up. If you've got a Rift, don't look it up and go play it, because yeah, it's stupid and awesome. All right then. I guess that's everything I wanted to say about the Rift. Unless you guys have any questions.
No, not really.
You haven't used the Rift, John. Is it something?
No. I'm still waiting.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'll probably just end up getting one maybe when it actually comes out. I definitely don't think I'm gonna buy a dev kit, but
yeah, I want to wait for a full release. But now I don't know. I want a 4K one.
Yeah. So I guess that sort of plays into news. Unless you've got anything else, Brad.
I had yeah. Sorry, I'm not done yet. I've got a really long list today. I got two more games, and then we can move on. One is Pokemon, which I guess I don't need to talk very much about because neither of you guys care about Pokemon.
Yeah,
but
that's pretty accurate.
I got a hold of Pokemon X 2 days before it came out. I don't know if you saw in the news, but basically shit tons of UK retailers broke street date on Pokemon, which is funny because this is the first time Pokemon has ever had a worldwide release date of the same day everywhere, including Japan, America, literally everywhere, it released on the same day. And then all of the UK retailers were just like, nah, fuck it, we'll just sell it 2 or 3 days early. I went to some dodgy shop in Fulham Broadway and managed to get a hold of a copy, but I think Argos were selling copies whenever the fuck they felt like, and a few other big name places were doing it as well. I've played like 20-something hours now of Pokemon, and it's a fucking good Pokemon game. I mean, obviously the big changes are it's in 3D now, yo. It's still like it's not like 3D, but it's polygonal 3D. But is it even polygonal 3D? The art style's really weird. I don't know if you've seen screenshots, but when you look at the models of the Pokemon, like all the curves and everything look like perfectly spherical. I don't know how they've done it because all the art just looks cel shaded from whichever angle you're looking at it. Like if you were to look at a screenshot of it, it looks 2D. But then you see a video and like it rotates around and they're just like 3D polygonal models. But all the curves are perfectly smooth because of the way they've shaded like the the artwork on the Pokemon. So they still look like sprites, but they're actually 3D, which is really awesome. All the animations are amazing and pretty. The new Pokemon, but that's not a problem because there's fuck all of them, and 90% of the Pokemon you fight in the game are like Gen 1 Pokemon, just for no apparent reason. I'm not even joking. Like half of my party is probably Gen 1 Pokemon, and like I've seen Pidgeys, Pikachus. Like if you've watched a quick look, you'll know this already. It's just filled with just like they know people are just like, man, Gen 1's the best, so why not put all the Gen 1 Pokemon in a Pokemon game again?
Yeah.
Fuck it, there's over 700 Pokemon now. I don't know. What else is worth mentioning? I caught a shiny Pokemon, which is kind of cool. I randomly stumbled onto a shiny Electrode. Do you guys know what shiny Pokemon are? Yes or no?
If you're talking about the cards, then yeah.
No.
All right, no,
they're,
then no.
they're better. I don't know.
No. Shiny Pokemon, you have. I'm kind of dubious that they might have changed this in X and Y and made it more common, but originally it was like something like at least a 1 in 62,000, if not more, chance of running into a shiny Pokemon. Like they're super, super rare. And basically what it means is the colors are different. So all Pokemon in all Pokemon games have, well, except for Red and Blue, I think, have alternate sprites that are a different color. So like, for example, Tentacool, I caught one of those in Sapphire that, you know, Tentacool, I don't know if you know it, it's like a squid type Pokemon. And it has 2 like red lobes on its head. The shiny version, the red bits are green. And the Pokemon I caught recently is a shiny Electrode, which I don't know if you've also seen, is like a red and white sphere that shoots electricity. It's like with a big face on it. You might have seen it.
I remember Electrode.
Yeah, you remember Electrode. You know it's red and white, right?
Yeah, I remember him from the card days. Did you guys ever have the cards?
Oh yeah. My Electrode is blue and white because it's shiny.
I still have like quite a lot of my cards.
And the funny thing about Electrode, for people who actually know or care about Pokemon, is that they know self-destruct. So when I ran into this Electrode, I was like about to throw a normal Pokeball at it to just try and capture it. What I considered, just trying to capture it normally, and then went, hang on a minute, it will kill itself in the next move. I should just throw my Master Ball at it. And so I did. And I missed it. Because that would really have sucked if I had tried to catch it and then it had just blown up and killed itself. And then I'd never seen it again. That would have been really shitty. These 2 guys don't give a shit about Pokemon, and they should. So all I'm going to say is, if you like Pokemon, this is a really good game. Also, don't choose Fennekin. Holy fuck. You need to watch the quick look. Well, I had the same moment in the quick look. There's this mini game called Pokemon Ami, but I don't know. It's meant to be French, where you can kind of pet your Pokemon and it makes them happy, and you can feed them food. I did it once, and I was like, oh, petting this cute little fox thing is kind of cute because Fennekin's a little fox type starter Pokemon, and I was like stroking it, and it was kind of cool. And then I fed it like a little chocolate muffin thing, and I was like, okay, fair enough. I guess if you're into that, that's cool. And then Fennekin evolves into, well, it looks humanoid. It looks like a furry. And there's this moment in the quick look where Jeff just rails on about furries and like yiffing and stuff like that when his Fennekin evolves into its second form, and then he goes into the Pokemon aim thing and starts poking it, and it's really inappropriate. Also, there's a picture if you look up. Actually, I might just quick search for it, of Machoke. Do you guys remember Machoke?
Yep.
Okay. Here's a picture of Machoke in Pokemon Ami, and it's really inappropriate. Where is it? Oh, there's one of Machamp that's worse. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's just really inappropriate. So yeah, that's all I need to say about Pokemon.
Oh wow.
That one, I think that one has been that's an artist's impression.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
like, since when the fuck did Machamp look like a fucking Ninja Turtle with 4 arms?
But there's actually a actual picture from the game of someone doing that to Machoke, which is the form before Machamp, and he literally is pulling a very similar face while someone is doing that. just don't go there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were saying like we're not into Pokemon, but I mean, for some reason, like all the hype around this game is like almost made me want to buy 3DS just for this game. I don't know.
That's kind of cool.
It's weird.
It's a bit weird though.
Yeah, I mean, like seeing the stuff when you're in like the towns where it's like behind the back and you're running around like that, all that.
Yeah.
It's like that looks cool.
There's only one city where it's behind the back. That's the main city called.
Oh, right, okay. It's not like
where it's massive in 3D. Most of the cities are kind of the similar top-down perspective, but they do a bunch of cool stuff with the 3D perspective in other places. Like there's this one cave where you go into, so you know how in Pokemon Cave it really sucks, and they're like, you just get battled everywhere in the cave. Like it's all like being in long grass constantly. You can just run into random encounters all the time. And it's kind of the top-down view, and they go on for fucking ages. There's this one cave where they completely mix it up. It's a behind-the-player camera view, and it's like a thin linear path with like 3D. It's like a tunnel, like you kind of go through a tunnel, and it's a branching tunnel, and you can go down all these different paths. And you only get battled at specific points where there's like a shadow on the ground, and a Pokemon drops down on you from the ceiling. And it's the graphics in that game are stunning, and coincidentally, most of that game can't run in 3D. Like you turn the 3D switch on and nothing happens. Like the light doesn't light up. Only battles are in 3D, and if you turn 3D on, the frame rate halves, like quite literally. And even if you don't have the 3D on, sometimes there's a thing where the battle does like a split view of two Pokemon at once, and the frame rate goes bad there as well. Additionally, there are the new types of battles called Horde battles, where you fight 5 Pokemon at once, and the frame rate there isn't great either. And they also ban you from turning on 3D because they knew it would be bad if you did. So yeah, they pushed the 3DS to its limits, and it really shows graphically. That's a really impressive game. And also, since the scale they do, like some of the routes are fucking huge. Like they're way bigger than anything that's been in any other Pokemon game. Anyway, that's enough Pokemon. The last thing I want to talk about, if you will allow me, is the Stanley Parable.
Ooh.
So where do I start? Have you guys played the mod?
No.
No.
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't played it.
The mod was really freaking cool. You should go play it if you have a copy of Half-Life 2 installed. It's definitely still worth playing. And it's the concept of it is kind of a commentary on choices in video games. That's the inspiration for the Stanley Parable. It's kind of like a satirical take on, how much choice do you really actually have in a video game? And when we say you have meaningful choices in the game, what does that actually mean? So I went and played the demo it took me an hour to complete the demo, which is pretty solid. And the thing about the demo is obviously it's not from the main game, because there is, if you ever played the original Stanley Parable, you'll understand why it couldn't be split out into separate parts. They basically had to create an entirely separate thing to be the demo. And so the demo is a satirical take on being a demo, which is kind of funny. And I actually laughed out loud probably like 5 or 6 times during the demo of the Stanley Parable. So at the very least, go play the demo. The demo is outstanding. It's probably the best demo of any game I've ever played. And it's really entertaining in its own right as a piece of content, regardless of whether you actually go on to play the full game. So I can't talk about the Stanley Parable without just straight up spoiling things. So I don't own the Stanley Parable. I'm actually borrowing it off of a friend via the Steam Family Sharing beta program, which I'm sure you guys remember. Me and my friend both got into the beta for that, and we've shared libraries now. So whenever he's not in a game, I can play his games, and he happens to have the Stanley Parable. So I played about an hour and a half of that on top of the hour of the demo that I played. And interestingly, the actual full game hasn't clicked as well as the demo did. I think the demo almost does a better job at being a piece of satirical, get a satirical game than the full game does.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff the demo does is really like proper tongue in cheek, just taking the piss kind of stuff. And the full game is, I don't know how to put it. So the core concept, I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but one thing that carries over from the original mod to the new Stanley Parable, I don't know why, but on Giant Bomb it's listed as the Stanley Parable HD remix, which is really weird because that's definitely not what it's called. But the main concept is you play as a guy called Stanley, and there's a narrator, and the narrator, he narrates a story, but he tells you what you're going to do before you do it, if that makes sense. So Stanley is a guy who works in an office. This isn't spoilers, it's just like the setup. Stanley is a guy who works in an office, and all that Stanley does all day, every day, is press buttons on a keyboard. He has a computer in front of him, and commands come in on the computer that tell him which button to press and how long to press it. And the idea is, Stanley's, despite you would think that his job is incredibly boring, Stanley's incredibly happy with his life. That's like all he likes to do. And all in the world is great. However, one day, all of a sudden, everyone in Stanley's office has disappeared. Like he's sitting at his computer and no command comes in and he doesn't know what to press. And he sits there, his like the original the opening setup's like Stanley suddenly realized after sitting there for like an hour and a half that no command had come in. And then he goes outside and no one's there. And so at that point, the narrator's like, Stanley gets up and leaves the room. And then the gameplay starts. And so the whole thing obviously is about player choice. So you can choose whether to just stand there, in which case the narrator will react, and then say something like, oh, but today Stanley was too afraid to go outside because of, being unsure about what might happen. And so he cowered in the room for a little longer and then went outside. And then it pauses and waits. It's that kind of feedback kind of loop.
Yeah.
And one of the first choices, the kind of main choice in the Stanley Parable, is you come to a set of two doors. This is the same in the mod and in the real game. It's like, and Stanley chooses the left door, and then it just pauses, and then you can choose whether or not to go in the right door, which is also open, or the left door. And depending on like the combinations of your choices, the game has like, I don't know how many endings this game has, but the original Stanley Parable had somewhere between 16 and 30 different endings or something. That you could, get to by making, choices in different orders. And so the idea is kind of just exploring what player choice really means and whether any of the choices you make in the Stanley Parable are actual choices in the sense that someone had to design that choice. At which point, did you really make a choice, or are you just following a predetermined path to an end of a game? If that makes any sort of sense. It's really meta and hard to explain without spoiling what makes it interesting. All I can recommend is play the demo and it'll give you a vague idea of what it's about. Play the original mod and you'll know exactly what it's about. And then if you're still interested, the new game seems pretty good as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a quick look on Giant Bomb and it's only about 20 minutes long.
I wouldn't watch that because I think they play the full game and not the demo, which I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it, do not watch the quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I watched it. I haven't played it yet, obviously. And they do get to like one or two of the endings, I guess. Which I mean, if you're not massively concerned with seeing like a tiny bit of what that game is, just to have a better idea.
Yeah. I would personally recommend the demo overall.
Yeah, that's probably
the demo is. As I said, the demo is probably the best demo for any game I've ever played. It's actually pretty outstanding. Which is weird to say about a demo, but it's a really good fucking demo. All right, I'm done now. I'm done talking about games I played. I know I've been away for a while, so I had stacked up a lot of shit to talk about. But how about we move on?
Go for it.
We've got some news. I don't know who else wants to take this because I haven't even looked at this list yet.
I can maybe do some of this. So yeah, I mean, like we mentioned before, there are Oculus 4K headsets in development, which is
more about this.
I don't know whether that's like exciting or like highly disturbing. Like, is this like the end times? Like in like 10 years, everyone's just gonna be hooked up to an Oculus like constantly, like no social human interaction anymore. It's gonna be like a surrogates or something, just weird. That's probably not going to happen, hopefully. Let's see, the guys who made the first Amnesia game have a new horror game set in space. There's like a 4-minute teaser. It's called Soma, I believe. Looks interesting. Has some stuff going on. I mean,
Is
I
it
wouldn't say
still
it
horror?
looks. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look exactly like Amnesia, but you can sort of tell it's those dudes.
Right, because
Just
they didn't work on a machine for pigs, right? That
no,
was
that
a
was
different team.
yeah, that was someone else. It's got similar sort of UI stuff going on, and the way the sort of it's interesting how like they've managed to sort of carry over a similar sort of aesthetic, but into space. It's got a sort of like Dead Space, like grimy space going on, but also some like stuff that's pretty reminiscent of like the alien ship from Alien. So yeah, that looks really interesting and scary, obviously. Let's see. Anyone that's played GTA Online, so that includes me, in October is getting 500,000 GTA Online bucks
What for?
as sort of compensation for
As an
it being
apology?
broke. Yeah, pretty much. Because like
Is
people
that
have
a
lost.
lot?
Yeah, well, it's more than I've made yet playing the game.
That's right then.
So, yeah, it's a decent amount of money. Which is it's funny. I'm sort of almost disappointed because it sort of like makes everything I've done so far sort of pointless. Like the most expensive thing I've bought so far is like being one of the apartments. It's like $100,000 or something. So to have like just to get like 5 times that for doing nothing almost is like it's sort of weird, and it just means that like everyone is just going to be like rolling around in like the best cars or whatever, and I don't know.
I guess it is good for like people that got, genuinely fucked over by that.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't imagine there's anyone who lost that amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think anyone managed to make that amount of money. But well, maybe if you played it like constantly, you might have. Yeah. So that's interesting. At least they're like giving some sort of compensation, which is nice. All Points Bulletin, the MMO that came out a while ago and was like the Xbox 360 reveal, but never actually came out on the Xbox 360. I think. I hope I'm getting that right. It still exists somehow. I was
No,
100% sure that was cancelled.
No, someone bought it, didn't they?
Something
then
like that.
I thought it died since then.
Yeah, I was 100% sure it was dead. Anyway, that's getting an engine upgrade to Unreal 3, I believe.
Why?
And one of the developers or publishers or something has said that it could possibly come to like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Yay.
So
Stoked.
that game just seemed like hot garbage.
The hottest.
The hottest of garbage. So that's really weird. Watch Dogs, The Crew, and Drive Club are all delayed, so cancel your PS4 and Xbox One pre-orders.
Pretty much. But that also sucks, because I wanted
Yeah.
to get Watch Dogs on PC.
Yeah, that does suck, because that was like Watch Dogs was probably going to be the game at launch for me. So maybe I'll have a rethink or just get FIFA or something. I don't know. So I think that they're all pretty much delayed into 2014. So I think Watch Dogs is Q1 and The Crew is Q3. I've got no idea when Drive Club is coming out. And they've changed the game that you get free or something, because it was like if you got a PlayStation 4 and got PlayStation Plus, you would get Drive Club free. So obviously that can't happen at launch. So it's going to be Contrast, which is like a indie game with shadows and stuff, which looks quite interesting, and I'm probably more interested in Contrast than I am in Drive Club, because Drive Club seemed sort of weird, and I don't have much respect for games that have hashtags in their titles. So yeah. And I guess the only other bit of news, it's not really news. It's more, well, sort of news. So Tevis Thompson, he was I wouldn't really call him a critic. He's a video game essayist, I guess. Yeah, that's sort of what I thought.
Oh, right. Okay. That's not just me then.
No, I mean, I certainly didn't know who he was before this article was written. Basically, he wrote a very long article on his website, which I believe is just tevisthompson.com or .net or something, talking about sort of why games journalism is not where he thinks it should be.
This sounds like someone that we probably shouldn't talk about because he sounds like a douchebag.
He's sort of, well, he made some good points, but the way he comes off in his article is really just repulsive and isn't a good way. Like, if you're going to try and make a point, like, your first thought should be, right, how can I be really angry and piss off everyone that's trying to read this article? Which it seems like that was sort of his...
That's how I write articles.
That's pretty much rule number one of, like, getting your shit noticed on the internet, though, because people just find it impossible to, not flip their shit over something that pisses them off. They find it impossible to ignore it.
Yeah. So I mean, the sort of the article was built a lot around BioShock Infinite and the reviews for that game. And his main point was that, like, how is it that this game scored so highly everywhere? Why isn't there more, like, dissenting opinions? Like, it does not show that, game scores are sort of broke or whatever.
Well, I didn't like it, so, everything is fine. I mean...
Yeah. And he said it was the worst game of the generation, and he would give it a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I remember, not to, again, bring up, internet bullshit, but Tom McShee from GameSpot, like, his re-review of the game, like, pissed a lot of people off. It's just,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, where you start thinking about it and you're like, oh, just,
Yeah.
It, like, explaining it shouldn't need to be explained. Like, the whole argument that, like, reviews are just opinions, like, if you truly believe that, then no review should really piss you off. So, shut up.
I mean, I would sort of recommend reading the article, but don't go in expecting, right, I'm going to agree with everything he says, and also that, I don't know, it seems like he is intentionally trying to piss people off.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those troll articles, and there's too many of them about already.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's a good writer in terms of, he's quite eloquent, he has a way with words, I suppose, but I don't think that, automatically means it's a good article. I just think, I don't know, a lot of his points on BioShock I don't agree with.
Did you read what's his face's interview from GameSpot?
What, the review?
Yeah, the new, like, his
the
one that was like 4 out of 10, I think, or something. Yeah, did you read that one?
I read parts of it. I don't think I read it all the way through.
Yeah,
but
I read parts of it. Like, I mean, not to get on that topic because it's kind of pointless, but, like, if you're gonna go on, like, a numbered scale like that, I think a game like BioShock Infinite, it's far too mechanically sound to be a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, 4 out of 10 is for, like, games that don't work. Like,
yeah.
It's, but then you get into, review scores and all that shit.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know. Like, and then you read further down the article, and I don't know. He seems like he's trying to be like, I don't know if you're familiar with Armand White, but he's a film critic who enjoys being a contrarian, basically, and he reckons that, like, Norbit, that terrible movie with Eddie Murphy. You probably don't, but whatever.
Well, it rings a bell, yeah.
It's a terrible movie with Eddie Murphy in it, and he was, it banged on about that being, like, one of the greatest movies of all time and stuff like that. He's very, like, I'm just gonna be the opposite of what everyone else is saying. And and like, I mean, he isn't trying to be the exact opposite of what everyone's saying, but that it feels like Tevis Thompson is playing on that sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know, it's annoying because he does actually make good points, but it's sort of swamped in like this really angry man sort of egotistical rant about how he is like amazing and everyone else is idiots. And he has this weird thing about using the phrase straight white males in a lot of it, in like he uses that phrase like 5 times. And it's funny because he actually like makes a point about how BioShock is racist, but then like generalizes about all straight white males about how they're all idiots and don't understand politics and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting article to think about, but not to necessarily agree with, I guess, is what I'd say. Yeah. That re-review thing from GameSpot was interesting, I guess.
I think like the re-review, like,
just as a concept,
is quite interesting, because I do think there are some games that you can kind of get caught up in the moment, and once you get a few months past them, you're like,
Yeah, there's certainly something to be said about like experiencing a game in a vacuum, like especially games that, like, I mean, experiencing something like Fez or Dark Souls in a vacuum I don't think works, because those games rely on the sort of community aspect. But like something like BioShock, it's not like everyone's discovering something new in BioShock and you're on the forums and like, I mean, the one aspect of that game I guess that you'd have that for is the story, but you can still, I don't know, I don't think you lose much by playing that game 6 months later after it came out.
No.
You might actually gain some perspective, and if you're not caught up in the sort of hype train, I guess.
I'm trying to remember like what I was playing when that game came out, because like I was kind of dead set on playing that straight away.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think I played that game about 2 weeks or so after it came out, so I was still, it was still within that sort of bubble of like people talking about the story and stuff.
Have you seen the like trailer for the Rapture but DLC?
No, I have some sort of idea of what it is.
I saw it and like it was really weird. It was like the opposite reaction of what I was hoping for. I saw that and like it kind of immediately put me off wanting to play it, because it showed Rapture like like before all the shit hits the fan. And there was just like a couple of moments in it where like I was kind of worried. It's like they're not really making like regular Rapture seem all that interesting, and it seems like one of those scenarios where it could be like pulling back the curtain is going to ruin the illusion. It's like it might just be more fun to imagine what Rapture was like rather than have it kind of laid out in front of you and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like how they'll handle that or where they'll go with it. But there was just a couple of bits in that trailer where I was like, really? Like, is that like is this kind of it? Like, I really hope there's more. But
yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell, obviously. From
it is.
Trailer.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the trailer wasn't great, but
those games are so reliant on like immersing yourself in the atmosphere, which is obviously not really possible in a trailer. But
I did actually make me go play BioShock 1 some more though.
Yeah.
I mean, that game is not that it's not worth talking about, but
yeah. It's very old. Well, it's not very old.
Well,
but,
it is kind of. I mean, it was like 2007, wasn't it?
Like it was 07, 08 or something.
So
yeah,
it is pretty old.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird seeing this like sort of to everyone taking a look back at BioShock. I mean, I think we've actually talked about it a bit recently of like the sort of second wave of like criticism, I guess, against BioShock. Like it was happening like on forums, and now I have like GameSpot, obviously massive website, to have them just re-review it completely and give it a score like that is actually sort of crazy. And there's this Tevis Thompson article which maybe not as noteworthy. Yeah, I don't know. You should maybe look at those reviews and stuff, see if they line up with your opinion a bit more than like the initial
Yeah, I mean, like my opinion on it is kind of really like as a game, it's fine. It's just not at all what I wanted.
Yeah.
But like that's not grounds for saying a game is bad, and like that's one of my biggest kind of gripes with a lot of games that I feel get kind of lower scores because and when I read the review, all I really get is that like this game just isn't what you wanted. Like that does not make the game bad.
Yeah, that's sort of the crux of the McShea and the
That's sort of what I've heard about it. And
the Thompson articles. It's like
from the bits
it's
read,
funny. It is. I do
like
always think about like, is it fair to criticize a game for what it isn't, as opposed to purely criticizing it for what it is. It's like
I don't think it is. Like there are some games that kind of fall in the middle. I think DMC is a pretty good example of that. Like that game's not really what I wanted, but it's still a great game.
Yeah.
Like I was able to enjoy it for what it is, even though it's not really what I was after. Whereas BioShock Infinite was just the opposite. Like that wasn't really what I was after, and I didn't enjoy what it was. So, but that doesn't make it a bad game. Like to me, a bad game is just something that doesn't work or is just really kind of half-assed. Like it's like the point of like reviews being a certain level of like inflation, I guess. I think it's like that is a good point. Like that is a good thing to discuss. But I think that's more of a case of like kind of the bar is just generally getting higher and higher. Like you don't really get like real stinkers that much anymore. Like games that just are flat out garbage and just don't even bother looking at this game because it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the will, well, hopefully there'll come a point where there are like so few broken games that
that's what I mean. Yeah,
scores get adjusted to the point where it's like you're not accounting for like a game being broken when you give it a 2 out of 10. Like a 2 out of 10 only is commenting on like the quality of, I guess, the gameplay and the story, but not like the technical aspect, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that is where I think that's where mainly the like scoring aspect of reviews is getting more and more and more pointless, because I mean, I'm trying to remember what I think GameSpot gave Rogue Warrior a 2 out of 10. And if you take scores at absolute face value, it's like that means that BioShock Infinite, going by the 4 out of 10 review, is only twice as good as Rogue Warrior. Like no, like, it's dumb. I think review scores. I don't think any review score system works, because if you're trying to put the point across that a review is an opinion, then you shouldn't give it a score. Like if you want to use a scoring system, you should just leave out opinion, in which case how useful is that as a review? It's like I don't think like a 50-50 approach works, but at the same time, like going 100% opinion doesn't really work either, and going 100% objective doesn't really work either.
Yeah,
so
I mean 100% objectivity is impossible, I think.
Well, it's possible. It's just that how useful would it be?
Well, I mean, I think there's always like, no matter the reviewer, it's so impossible to ignore like your own opinion of a game. I mean, GameSpot tried to do that, I think, for a while, where it was like, because like I think Jeff's admitted that he didn't really like Twilight Princess, the Zelda game, and he still gave it like an 8.8. I mean, there's all the controversy over that score, but he gave it, he gave it a great score, but didn't actually like the game, and it was like that's what GameSpot was going for a while, which I think they've just scrapped that since. And like, yeah, I mean, scores for me on like a opinion, like a subjective sort of basis for your reviews just doesn't work, especially when like you're talking about a massive site like GameSpot where they've just got like tens of reviewers, and some of them are freelancers or whatever, so they're not even going to be ingrained in like the system of like, this is what a 10 is, this is what a 9 is. It's like, I don't know, it just seems completely, it works. I think it can work on like a one person, just like, this is my scale, like understand this scale, and like you'll understand where I'm coming from.
If they did like one person per genre or something, like if that person was like way into shooters and he was like, right, 10 on my scale is this game, or 1 on my scale is this, then you can you should be able to take a pretty good guess of whether this game is good or not. But
I don't think that's ever.
No, I don't think that's. I just think review scores are stupid. Like if I don't think they've ever worked. Like even going years and years ago, like I used to get into like pretty heated arguments with my friends, like when gaming magazines would come out, and I would always especially in like the official ones, it was always like the next big release for a certain genre would always get the best score for that genre, like always. It was I remember, I think it was in like the PS2 era, like I think it was in PSM. I don't know if you guys ever had that magazine. It was like Tekken Tag was like the best fighting game ever on PS2, and then when Tekken 4 came out, Tekken 4 was the best fighting game, and then when Tekken 5 came out, Tekken 5 was the best fighting game, and it was like Ratchet and Clank 1 was out. This is the best platformer ever. Then like Jack and Daxter came out. No, this is the best. Ratchet and Clank 2. No, this is the best. Like every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, and like GTA was exactly the same. Like GTA 3, best open world game. Vice City, best open world game. San Andreas, best open world game. And it just got to the point where you just didn't even need to fucking buy the magazine anymore. It was like this game is gonna get a flawless review. You just know it is. So.
Yeah, which is actually, I mean, like that Tevis Thompson article, like he directly uses scores and says he likes scores, which is actually weird because that's also one of the big sort of, when people are talking about like modernizing games journalism, it's a lot of people saying like get rid of scores, and like that's not one of the points he actually goes for, which is sort of weird. But
kind of a weird topic in general, though. I mean, what other entertainment medium has modern, quote, modern journalism? I mean,
like film journalism and music journalism, I think went through but it was so long ago. It was like, it was like in the 50s when they changed from like being
true. I mean, you think how older those mediums are.
But yeah, I mean, music reviews are just, I don't know, like
music reviews is retarded. Like that's just stupid. I think
uses those.
Yeah, and I also think films are to a certain extent too, because there's nothing really technical in a sense of like participation about a film or a piece of music in the same way that there is a game.
Yeah.
A game can play like shit. A game can have terrible gameplay and a terrible frame rate, which makes it, awkward and not fun to play.
Yeah.
Whereas a film doesn't have a shit frame rate. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess films can have like bad acting, which is, pretty
but that
generally accepted what is bad acting.
Like that,
and like what is sort of bad writing, I guess, can also sort of be.
Yeah.
There are things about films that are, more technical than than music. Because even like music that's badly produced, that can almost be a positive. Instantly, certain
I guess
circles.
Yeah, with music, I think for me it's probably lyrics. Like if a song has just really dumb, fucking stupid, like generic lyrics, I cannot stand it.
Yeah,
like I just
we've been down this hole before about music, and it
took us,
2 hours to get off it. So
I hate
to bad places.
Anyway,
what episode was that on?
So that wasn't actually that.
That
was this year.
Long ago, was it?
It was like a month or two ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. I read that Tevis Thompson article, but take in mind that it's maybe not the most nicely written article in the world. I guess that pretty much does us for this week.
I had a news article.
Oh, okay.
So vaguely interesting to me, or at least people who are interested in PC stuff. There's some news coming out from NVIDIA quite recently, possibly even today, actually. This news came out. Oh, no, yesterday, actually. Apart from the fact they've announced a new GTX 780 Ti, which the Ti line is like their, I don't know, slightly better version of whatever card they're releasing. They usually do like a 60 Ti or a 50 Ti, but I don't think they've ever done a 1080 Ti on their more recent cards. That's not the reason I'm bringing it up, because that would be boring if I mentioned that. What's more interesting is they've launched a couple of new pieces of tech. One of them is a new piece of software, which I'm particularly excited for, called Shadow Play. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
Okay. Well, Shadow Play is a game capture software. You think, oh great, there's loads of those already. Like, why would you care about that? The interesting thing about it
them,
is
but they're not all good.
exactly the interesting thing about this is it actually uses the on-chip, like the on-card .h.264 or whatever that video codec encoder to spit out video directly from the graphics card. So according to NVIDIA, it puts little to no strain on the player's CPU, and apparently they showed off a demo of Splinter Cell Blacklist being streamed live to Twitch at 720p 60 frames a second, with the game not dropping any frames as a result of the recording. So that's really interesting.
I'd be interested in that, because I record PC footage and...
Exactly, and it also can record locally at 1080p 60 fps, and you can overlay a webcam in the software if that's something you like to do. And apparently that software is coming out on October 28th. I believe the requirement for that software is a 660 or above, however. I may or may not be wrong about that. I need to look it up. But yeah, that software. Yeah, I think that's correct. I will need to double check. But oh wait, I might be thinking of G-Sync. I don't know what the requirement is for the software, the Shadowplay software. I'll look that up and let you know. But the other thing they've mentioned is NVIDIA have come up with a new piece of software titled G-Sync, which is a fucking terrible name, to try and get around screen tearing, lag, and stutter. So it's basically a replacement for VSync. That means you can run a game with VSync turned off and get no screen tearing by dynamically adjusting the refresh rate of the monitor that you're using. So it's basically a chip that they put into a bunch of new monitors coming out from Asus, BenQ, Philips, and ViewSonic. That I assume, obviously, it's only going to work with the what's the word I'm looking for? 120 FPS plus monitors. Otherwise, it would be a bit stupid. But the idea is the graphics card can directly request the monitor to change its refresh rate on the fly to stop screen tearing as if the frame rate varies whilst the game's playing. So then you can run games, at 120 whilst your computer's able to spit out 120, and if it drops down to 60, you won't get tearing issues like if you had just been running it on a 60 Hz monitor or something, and it won't look crap if you've got VSync locked on to stop the tearing. So yeah. Those are the two things I wanted to mention. I don't particularly care about G-Sync thing. I mean, I usually put V-Sync on and don't have any problem. I don't care about gaming over 60 FPS anyway, so that's not really something I'm interested in. But the capture software, the Shadow Play, sounds cool, and I can get behind that.
I don't know about that. It sounds like I don't want to put a lot more work into my PC just yet.
Sounds like voodoo bullshit to me, but
I do like the capture stuff though, because I still use Fraps.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I still use Fraps for PC.
God. I would.
I don't mind. My PC now can handle it without really any real difference. My only the beef I have with Fraps is when I come to fucking edit the goddamn video.
Why?
Because it's all uncompressed AVI, and those files are they're fucking huge. So they take ages to import into video editing software, and it's just a pain in the arse.
I use OBS now over Fraps because it does compression on the fly.
Oh yeah.
And also it uses DirectX hooks that I feel are faster than Fraps, or at least my version of Fraps, because I don't think I have an up-to-date version.
I might give that a go, because I've been using game capture for a few months now on my consoles. And that does compression on the fly, and it's just so much quicker making those videos.
Although the compression can look a bit crappy if you overdo it. It's not.
Oh yeah, I mean I just put it throttle it down a bit. I wouldn't probably. I mean I don't bother with 1080p for recording, because for me it's just not worth the extra time. It's when you put in I put pretty much anything I record goes on YouTube, and the jump from 720 to 1080 is just not really worth the extra time to do that sort of shit.
talking about recording, I just remembered something. I don't know if you guys remember, but I mentioned I was learning the speedrun route to Vice City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I completed my first ever single segment run. I've got about a week ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you remember. I said my goal was to try and beat the game in under 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to guess what time I got?
1 hour 54:28.
1 hour 59:59.
I got 2 hours and 27 seconds.
Oh, shit.
Oh man, that's
And do you want to know why? I had a fucking perfect run. First of all, I wasn't recording, which sucked. Secondly, I had like an amazing run. If I hadn't cocked up, I would have got like a 1:47 or something, which would have been insane for like my first ever single segment run. And then I failed the final mission 4 times in a row, which cost me 16 minutes.
Oh no.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Today I actually just had another go whilst live streaming, and failed a bunch of times, but I eventually managed to complete a run in 1 hour 54 and 33 seconds. You were close.
So I was pretty close.
Did you see it on Twitter, or did you just make that up?
No, I just made that up.
You were you were like 6 seconds out from my actual time.
I made
That's
that up.
kinda creepy.
But, that reminds me, actually. I can't remember why I didn't bring this up a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about speedruns.
Yeah.
But I did some speedruns of my own a few weeks ago on Ninja Gaiden Black, as you may know. Play that game quite a bit.
Yeah, you do.
Beat the current world record by over 6 minutes.
All right, casual.
For a single segment. It was really weird. It was one of those like weekends where I just was kind of bored, and just like ran into this like Speed Demos Archives charity stream that they did. God, when was it? A few months ago. Yeah, and there was just loads and loads of speedruns on there. And I saw like the world record for NGB at like 1 hour 54 or something. And I thought, I wonder if I could beat that. So I had a go, and beat it the first time in like 1:51. But I didn't record it, and I thought, like, I'm gonna actually have a real go at this like tomorrow and have a real shot at this run. And that's when I got the 1 hour 48 time. So pretty chuffed with that. And
that's
yeah,
pretty dope.
Shameless plug. But
is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I might go look that up.
It really is kind of a testament of just how much I've played that game. It's
no shit.
I mean, I watched the 1 hour 54 run. It's a really good run. Like the guy definitely knows what he's doing, but there's so much stuff that like it's one of those things where like it's stuff that's just second nature to me, and it's like he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, like, and it's not really stuff that you need to do. It's just stuff that if you do know it's there, then it makes a world of difference.
Do you is it a dude that you knew from your forum days?
No, it wasn't, which was kind of surprising because a lot of the
might be why he doesn't know the same tricks that you know. Then,
yeah, it must be because like there are certain things in the game that, I mean, if you were part of like that scene, you would know. Like you'd know these things, you'd know these tricks, you'd know these shortcuts, you'd know these boss strategies. And I put up a commentary one of the same thing as well with a friend of mine from that same community at the time. And it was just really fun. It was a really fun way to get back into that game after so many years of kind of not playing it seriously. But,
that's cool. That's
speedruns are cool, man.
I don't think I'm going to be setting any world records. I'm just gonna put that out there. For the record, the like GTA Vice City world record is, I think it's 131 something. So I mean, my next target's obviously sub 150. But to know that I could have had a 147 on my first go, like, that was literally the first time I sat down and ever played start to finish in one go, and I fucking bottled it at the end. And I'd never failed that mission before, ever. And I failed it 4 times in a row. I don't know what happened. And there was one point where I was so pissed off, I actually got up and walked away for about 10 seconds and then came back and went, no, fuck it, I'm going to complete it. So I probably could have got it under 2 hours on my first go, but never mind. Well, I've achieved what I set out to do when I started learning that run. So now it's just, if I'm still enjoying it, which I am, I'll keep giving it a go.
It's fun stuff. Speedruns are good shit. I love
They are
speedruns. They're just such a different way to play a game.
I've never undertaken one before. I've never like gone through the process of learning the route for a game and that kind
I've
of
done
stuff.
quite a few over the years of like quite a few games, like Resident Evil speedruns. Man, they're the shit. Resident Evil speedruns are really good.
I enjoy watching Pokemon and GTA ones. Those are my favorite.
I might watch a GTA. I might see if I can find some like GTA 3 ones. Start at the.
Oh, there's some really good. I didn't watch the whole of it because fuck that. But I watched a guy yesterday set the world record for 100% GTA 3.
Oh really? What was that?
It's he did it. Oh gosh, 7 hours and 20 minutes roughly. I can't remember exactly what it was. He was going for sub 7, but he bottled the taxi missions and so much other stuff. So, but yeah, he was like, yeah, this time can be improved loads, like really easily, like, and he was setting a world record, which was funny. It was funny because like I think
that's always going to be the case with single segment though. I mean, like the 1 hour 48 for NGB that I did, that can be improved. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff, especially in like the first 6 chapters of the game, like that I elaborate on in commentary. Like, this is by far, from a perfect run. But like, I think like if you want a perfect run, like you're gonna go segmented, like you're gonna do it, with saves. And like one of the most entertaining speed runs ever for me is on YouTube as well. A guy does it's a new game speed run of Resident Evil 4, and I think his time's 1 hour 48 and 1 second on a new game, like no infinite weapons or any shit like that. And like I think even now, like the closest time to that with like the ultimate weapons, like the infinite rocket launcher and everything, I think it's only about 8 minutes faster. Like it's pretty crazy. That is a great run.
My favorite segmented run is the Portal Done Pro. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some mind blowing run.
That is some good shit.
Especially when he gets the cake at the end. Like the first time I saw that, I was like, "Fuck."
Speaking of cool Portal shit, I don't know if you've seen it, but it just made me remember it. Did you see that? I think it was like the first 3 levels of Portal. Someone made them in the Halo Reach Forge editor. Like he made Portal like in that game, like in Halo. It was pretty impressive.
That's crazy.
He used he used like the concussion rifle and like teleporters for like portals, like, and like boxed in like the whole map, and like where you would have to shoot the portals, like you had to shoot the concussion gun to move the wall back so the teleporter would come out, and then you'd have to like drop down the teleporter. It was like insanely creative. It was really good.
That's insane. That's that's like sounds like too much effort.
Yeah, it's like when you look at the level, like just building the fucking level would be like, Jesus, this would have taken a long time. But like figuring out like the teleporter placements is madness.
Absolute madness. All right then.
So I guess speedruns, man. Speedruns are awesome.
Yeah, I love speedruns.
Speedruns are cool.
I guess that does us for this week. I think we've gone really long. I think, haven't we?
Yeah. We've like what, 3 hours?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, about 3 hours. Oh well. People love this shit.
They'll lap this up. All right, cool. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us themightyelectronicbox@gmail.com. I haven't actually checked this week if we've got any emails. Do you guys?
I checked before it started and we didn't.
Okay, we don't have any emails this week. So please email us. Or you can tweet at us at TMEB Podcasts. I believe Johnny is tweeting random shit from that account from time to time.
Yeah, occasionally.
And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Peace.
It's John does the typing noise now.
Yeah.
I'm a human keyboard.
There's the link to that run if you want to see it.
If you click in the Stanley Parable, it makes a mechanical keyboard noise, which is great.
Are you on a laptop, John?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a laptop keyboard. Does sound like one.
I didn't realise. I suppose they have. I don't know.
It's what, yeah. It's not really that bad. Like it's a keyboard that doesn't sound annoying. Whereas if someone's like jamming on a fucking
Yeah.
Really loud ass regular keyboard through a microphone. That does not sound very good. Yeah.
That's typing. It's me typing.
I'm gonna look at what indie games are on the Vita. There's an indie game like thing on PlayStation Store.
Is it like the Xbox One or?
Pretty much, yeah. Like there's a lot of
Huh.
there's a lot of cheap shit on there. So might see if I can find some stuff. There's they actually have like all the old school Resident Evils on like PS1 classics, which I'll probably download at some point.
Yeah.
Because although it does kind of annoy me, like they're like £8, and I think that's just a bit much.
Yeah, that's not.
If they were like a £5 each, then I would have got them already. Whereas now I'm gonna have to wait till I feel stupid and then be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just spend like £16 and get them.
Yeah.
Also seems kind of finicky to turn this thing on. You have to hold the power button down for like a lot longer than you'd think. Still a really nice piece of kit though.
Yeah, I am really tempted to get.
I think like I don't remember it being bad by any sense, but like the touch screen feels really good as well. It feels better than when I used it before.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have something for the. I mean, I don't have a massive commute to work or anything. It's like
mine is fucking huge now. It's just because of like roadworks and shit that are gonna be like they're gonna be there for like the next year and a half, pretty much. And like the more and more I get into Injustice, and then with the PS Vita like announcement, it was like, yeah, I can like learn characters going to and from work. So
yeah.
Because usually I would just sleep on the bus. Like, that is what I would do. I would just get on the bus, like, get a window
Oh, I couldn't risk that.
and be like, right, peace. And then I'd wake up, like, 2 stops before home, get off the bus, and be like, yep, I'm good. Like, that is pretty much what I would do. It's just fucking
like, the bus
dead
is only,
time.
like, 10 minutes, probably, to where I'm going to be working on, like, a day with very little traffic.
Yeah, mine's, like, an hour and 10 minutes now.
Yeah, I'm going to be, like, going in at about 8:30, so it's going to be parked, and then I think I finish at 5:30, so that's going to be parked on the way back as well. So it's going to be slightly longer than that. So I did used to read on the bus when I was in first year at uni, but I found myself like laughing at the book I was reading and getting weird looks off people, so I quickly stopped doing that.
Oh man, dive kicks on here.
Yeah, well, I've got a copy of Dive Kick because I bought the PSN copy, so
yeah, I was really disappointed with that. I was really looking forward to Dive Kick.
I wasn't massively disappointed. I think like I would have played way more of it if I knew more people that had it.
Yeah, that's true. Jetpack Joyride, that's supposed to be good, isn't it? Oh man, Hotline Miami. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
That I think I'm gonna have to buy that.
Spelunky's on the Vita. If you haven't played Spelunky, you should.
Oh yeah, that's on here as well, isn't it?
I'd get that.
There's a lot of PlayStation Plus is looking very attractive these days.
I went for like this. I kept on trying to do that stupid Spelunky achievement, the finish the game in 8 minutes.
Jesus fucking Christ! They got Super Frog on here, dude. Did you guys play Super Frog?
No.
Oh man.
What the hell's Super Frog?
You never heard of Super Frog?
Is it just like Frogger or?
No, you're like a frog with a cape, and it's like it's a 2D platformer basically, and it was made by Team 17, the Worms guys. It's pretty old. It is a pretty old game, but that fucking amazing.
It's a pretty good name. Super
Zen
Frog.
Pinball. Man, there's quite a lot of free games on here too. Yeah, I'm glad I bought one of these. Jetpack Joyride, 79p.
Yeah, that's on the iPhone. That's a fun game.
It's free on most things.
if you're into like those endless runner things, that's a pretty good one of those.
Yeah, it is.
There's a game that's just called Die Die Die.
That sounds fun.
There's nothing else. We could do like a weekly like Vita indie games section. See what's on here.
Is Alpha Chimp on the PlayStation Vita? That's all that matters.
I don't think so. No.
Damn it.
Just gone past all the A's. Atomic Ninjas. Let's have a look at this then.
That sounds good. Yeah, like indie games on the Xbox side, those names just sort of make you want to kill yourself. It's like,
Oh, Spelunky is on here. I just found it.
how much is it on the VIA?
It's 12 quid. That's like quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a Xbox Live indie game, isn't it?
that game has stuff. Like, if you get into that game, then
Yeah.
you will play that game for like a long time, probably. But
What the fuck? Angry Birds is 32 quid. Is that some kind of troll? Why is that game 32 quid?
is it not like the years Angry? Actually, I don't know. I don't know how they.
Oh,
just
Angry Birds trilogy, full game.
What?
I don't.
I still don't think that justifies.
How is that 32 quid? All right, well, I'm definitely buying Hotline Miami. I have to have that game on here. Fucking love Hotline Miami. Huh. There's a section that's actually just called price drops on the store now. That's pretty cool.
Right. I'm gonna go maybe finish Last Light if I'm anywhere near the end. How long do you think that game is, Joe? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember how much. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, and I'm at.
oh really? Oh, I thought you.
I'm very, very, very near the end. Like,
Yeah.
You can just kind of tell.
I've just done the River of Fate bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit past that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'd say I'm probably at about maybe I think 7, 8.5 hours. So
yeah,
I mean,
that bit's weird.
yeah, that bit is really weird. But yeah, I don't think there's much left of that game.
Yeah. I'd like finally discovered like just like a couple of hours ago that you could stealth kill the dog things, which
I didn't know you could do that.
That is a revelation. Not
Yeah.
like you don't get like the animation, but you can just sneak up behind them with your knife. And
Oh really? All right, cool. I did not know that.
that is really useful, especially on
fucking
Ranger
hate
mode,
these
because like,
things.
yeah, those guys suck on Ranger mode. You just get